Good morning, true crime addicts. My name is Scott. I am the recovery addict. You are here in the court of public opinion, and today we're going to be watching Texas via Juan David Ortiz, the Border Patrol agent accused of being a serial killer. Accused of killing 4 people in the space of about a little less than 2 weeks. We're going to be following this court case live out of San Antonio, Texas. But first, before that, I have to get everything set up here on chat, so if you give me just 1 minute, we're going to get everything configured right here. All right. That's enough of that, right? Good morning. 80s Music Man, welcome. You are first in chat. Look at that. Hey. Good morning. And I can hear myself. Is that pretty cool? It's not as cool. And I can hear myself. Now I can't. I fixed it. All right. We are slowly getting running this morning. 80s Music Man, you're first in chat with the hey. That means you won the internet for the day. Congratulations. I think this is actually your first win, which means for the rest of you folks, we have an amateur in charge of everything IP related for the rest of the day. This could be a rough day for the rest of us. 80s Music Man, I'm just saying, I'm not saying I don't have confidence in you, but I'm nervous. That's all. I'm nervous. Have you ever done anything like this before? Have you ever managed something the size of the internet, maintain things worldwide, any experience similar to this? Please let me know so I can feel better about how the live stream is going to go today. Anyway, Toxic, good morning. Miss Chris, good to have you here. Terry, Chief Inspector is in the house. Lori, Mary Kay, Ann, hello, good morning. Lexi, top of the morning to you as well. Katrina, how is everyone? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Pauline, good morning to you. Cakespoo, I stayed awake tonight. Yay! All the way from Australia. Good to have you here. CG in Texas, I think, did you get any sleep, CG? Because I think you might have texted me all night long. I'm not saying you didn't get any sleep, but I think I got quite a few texts on the burner phone from you last night. Which is fine, which is great. I might have slept through most of them, but I did read quite a few this morning. Good morning, Brent. Michelle, good to have you as well. And another Michelle. There's a Michelle and a Michelle. Not sure which one I'm pronouncing wrong. Probably both. Welcome, fam and recovery addicts. Good to have you, Cakespoo. Let's see, MB, hope you're doing all right today. Just know, I think Mrs. Ari wants to give you a call, just to make sure you're doing okay. I know yesterday was a rough day. We're worried about you. Canned Laughter says, morning recovery addict and everyone. Yesterday I left for a half hour and missed the juror fainting. Had to catch up this morning. Oh, it was crazy. I wish we had it on video. I mean, not that I like watching people faint, but because it did faint, I wish we had, I'm not wishing bad things to happen on the jury, but if they did happen, please happen on camera. That's all I ask. Good morning, peeps. Good morning, Tag. Got some text messages from you as well. Thank you. I appreciate those. Ferry, good morning from the UK. Oh, yeah. Lots of people. Tish is in chat. I scrolled right past it. I was about to click. Good morning, Tish. Good to have you here today. CG knows what I'm talking about. Yep. Several texts. Lindsay, good to have you here this morning. Everyone is awake. And I am as well. I feel better today than I did yesterday. Like yesterday, I had a little bit of like brain fog going on. It was just like I was here and I was feeling good, but just all the synapses weren't firing just as fast as they need to. But we're doing great today. Nope, no sleep from CG. Maureen, as usual, be viewing on the TV as I work. Everyone have a terrific Tuesday. Maureen, we'll miss you in chat, but I'm glad you're here at least visually able to join us and hear what's going on. I'll try to read all the chats just for your enjoyment. 80s Music Man, you got a job ahead of you. LMAO, just remember to quack when you cuss. He will. I mean, if anything, 80s Music Man will eliminate all cussing on the internet today. It's something he's very good at. TW says, I called my credit card company yesterday and initiated a fraud charges on the 12-disc set. They refunded my money this morning. Those interview discs, no one's going to buy them. I wouldn't even pay for them if I did a Freedom of Information Act request and requested them. I still wouldn't pay for copies. They're just not worth that. The Censor Man is now on the internet. This should go well. It'll be a safe place for the first time in forever. Lovely peoples, welcome to this amazing channel. Please hit the like button. Thanks for being here, Abby. Appreciate you. Mutt's in the house as well. 7, hello. Just an hello, not a hello, just an hello. I was up all night talking to Wi-Fi support. Finally got it fixed, and great. Hopefully you see me in crystal clear HD video, which is how I'm transmitting today. Charlie, good morning. Go ahead, hit that like, admit to it, then deny it years later. We'll never tell. We'll never tell, Charlie. It'll just be our secret. Franco, I apologize for the late response to your text. I responded this morning, and I think you saw that, but appreciate the text you sent me the other day. I think it was on Saturday. Good morning, all. I had to step away from the Igor around 4 p.m. Did anything good happen last night? Not really. Not really. It sort of got slow towards the end, like painfully slow, like Pike County slow. So I think you're good. This particular trial started off with a bang, and I was like, this is going to be good. This is going to be really good. And now I'm thinking, I think it was like, when you watch a movie trailer and you watch a trailer, and you're like, this is great. I will watch this. I will pay to watch this movie. And then you go and you watch the movie and you realize they took all the best parts and put them in the movie trailer. And there really isn't any other good parts in the movie. It's just a bunch of filler. I'm wondering if that's what this is turning into with this Juan David Ortiz trial. I'm hopeful that defense is going to put on some fireworks here in the near future. Hi, everyone. Big hugs to everyone. I see some unfamiliar faces in chat. Welcome to you all. Toxic, thank you. It's good to have some new faces here. We need some new victims or addicts in the house. Good morning, Tiffany Marie. Hope you're doing great this morning. Hope things are going well with you and your endeavor. We've got your back. Lori says, today is St. Nicholas Day. St. Nicholas Day. I give my daughters a little gift every year in anticipation for Christmas. That is awesome, Lori. Good morning, all my truly lovely crime addict friends. That would be us. Hit the thumbs up, sub, and ring the bell for notifications, and please share the stream with friends. Okay, Toxic, help me because I have a confession. I started YouTube. Let's see. My first YouTube channel was probably in 2008. Okay, which goes back a ways. I was monetized before they had like all sorts of rules about being monetized. And since that time till now, I don't think I have ever shared a live stream. And I'm not even sure if I know how to do it. So maybe, Toxic, if you could teach me how to share the stream so I could teach everyone who's watching, that would bring more people in and we'd be able to have more fun because more people equals more fun. CG says, I'm still very interested in this. If it gets away with this, there will be a mass exodus of women out of Texas, and deservedly so. Tiffany Marie, yes, still smoke-free. Day 8. Congratulations, Tiffany. You made it past a week. This is great. Congratulations. Good work. You did. I did 9 hours yesterday. I've got trial fatigue. It was a rough day. I'm not going. I can tell you now, I'm not going to do 9 hours today because I'm going to do a half day today. So we need all the exciting stuff to happen before lunch. Family's got a Christmas party we're going to go help with this afternoon. So let's see. Got a hold of a colleague, used to work and talked last night. Also promised to go see him soon. MB, that is great. If you do need, or if you would like Mrs. RA to reach out to you through the burner phone, it's like reverse dial from the burner phone. Let me know. If anyone does want to reach me on the burner phone as well, it's in my pocket, so I can get it out and make sure it's turned on. The phone number Abby's posted there on screen is for the burner phone for the channel. It's a free service we provide for you, so you can get something off your chest, be it a confession or a shout out to somebody. And if it's appropriate, I'll try to share it here on the live stream. Michelle says, "Recovery addict, do you think the prosecution will rest their case this week?" Well, I'm thinking what they have left to cover, and I'm pretty sure they're going to cover every bit of the chain of custody, which they sort of have done. This last the crime tech basically is the last one they have to really cover. There may be a couple of them depending on where things went, but as soon as they cover that chain of custody, I think they're pretty much done. I don't know what else they need to do. There's really no other witnesses because 4 of them are dead and 1 got away. She went first, so it's possible. I was hoping that one of the lawyers would mention to the judge what their schedule was, and just looking forward, because I'd like to know, and I'm trying to get some other videos made, which is very hard to do while I'm live streaming. Just for the record. I pretty much only have to do this while I'm live streaming. And there's some things I want to do for Sarah Boone. I've got to put together just a Sarah Boone 101 course is what we're going to do, because that is coming up. We do have some stuff that's going to be happening this month with her, with a status hearing. And then here in January, at the end of January, we expect that to go to trial. And before that starts, I'd like people to have a quick way where they can go and just get up to speed on all the craziness, what they should watch for, some of the background, especially of the back and forth between her and her different lawyers, why we have as many public defenders as she had, things like that. I think first of all, I think that case has a lot of public interest, not just because it's sort of bizarre in the way the murder was committed, allegedly, but it's unique in the defense, is that that she thinks that her just saying "I didn't mean to" is going to let her get off, and she has some unique characteristics about her that she just thinks differently than most people. So I think that'll be a good one. So I'm going to be putting that together. I will spill the beans here. I also want to make a prank video using the Knoxville magistrate feed. I'm collecting video right now where let me just say, it will appear as if on the video, it will appear as if I am being questioned by the magistrate in Knoxville, Tennessee. Still need to get my jail jumpsuit to make that happen, but we're going to have some back and forth conversation with the magistrate. The magistrate doesn't know it now, nor will he ever, that he was part of this. It will all be the editing magic will make it happen, but it'll be great. Okay, I'm missing some here. Tag says, "I can tell you're an 80s baby because that's when they used to make all the good parts of movies and put them in a trailer." And good morning, Angie. Thank you for the first super chat of the day. Absolutely generous and super appreciate it. You are wonderful and amazing. You've been part of the channel for a long time, and it would not be the same without you, Anne. I'm glad you're here today. Hope it is wonderful. Yolissa, good morning from South Africa. Good to have you here. We are ready. Yes, we are ready. What happened to the electric substations in NC? 72 gear. 782 gear. This the power situation in North Carolina is still basically under investigation. I have not heard yet if they even have a suspect, but here's what I'm thinking about. I'm going to hopefully this afternoon be talking to one of the people in charge of a large power company here in North Carolina, because I believe from what they've told us already, the person who shot at these substations that took the power out for 40,000 people in Moore County had some information. They knew what to shoot. Let's put it that way. And looking at a power station, knowing what to shoot, that's like inside knowledge, and that narrows the field dramatically for suspects. So I think that's a good thing as far as the investigation into it goes. The FBI, I think, is involved as well. I'm not sure, what sort of charges are going to come there, or if it's going to be elevated for any reason. But yeah, power is still out in Moore County, North Carolina. I think for about 40,000 people. There are people with medical devices that need help, breathing apparatuses, oxygen machines, everyone's refrigerator and freezer. I'm thinking of just the mass amount of food that just got spoiled because somebody cut the power to the county. The hospital is running on generators. It's a scary situation, but more so, it's scary. And I think Governor Cooper from North Carolina pointed this out in a press conference, that the ease at which somebody can take down our grid is a concern. And it's been a concern. You see, it's starting back with, in the early 2000s, the government really beefed up security around like dams and things like that, big hydroelectric dams. But there are so many other weak links in our power grid. and some of them have to do with a very, very aged system. Anyway, we'll talk about that maybe another day. Great question, though, 782 Gear. Good morning, fantastic people. Weather Watch, good to have you here. Katrina's here. I think I've mentioned everyone. Joe Ellen, good to have you. Sam Terry, good morning. Here we go again. Strap in. Hopefully it's a good one this morning. I hopefully get a little more action. Yesterday I was ready to switch trials yesterday. Toxic says, shut the chat screen down and there will be a share near the like button. Okay, so apparently we have to change our instructions to everybody. We need to say, you can't just like the button, or you can't just click the like button. You have to click the like and then share it, or it's not really a like. That will bring some new friends in. Rick Thomas says, my daughter in Moore County says it looks like Thursday, last she heard. Yeah, that's the soonest I'm hearing. There might be pockets that go a little longer depending on, well, let me tell you, I have experience in large data centers like government computer centers. And when you have an issue where the power gets cut, obviously, or if you have a main supply blow or something, a supply line burnout, when it goes out, it's not just that one part you have to fix. You bring that back and you restore power, and you find out that there are lots of other parts that were like on the verge of breaking that tripped because of that and now need to be replaced. So it's a possibility in the grid that there are also some other systems, some other areas of that grid that need to be replaced, and there might be some patchy outages that go a little longer than that as well. When I lived in South Carolina, they always had issues with power. I went without power for 2 weeks in the dead of winter. Look, I was able to send my food back, set my food back on the back porch. Yeah, it's cold enough. You've got an outdoor freezer. That helped. But still, 2 weeks without power. I mean, this is life-threatening for some people. And you had a fireplace. It was warm. DMB, welcome. Saw the chat from you as well the other day. Thank you. Have a meeting to go to. And then we'll be back. Don't let them do anything crazy at the trial without me. We'll try not to. I think we're about to begin. Actually, I think the trial should be starting here momentarily. The feed we're getting is still showing the wall, the seal of the state of Texas, county of Bayer. Let's see. Let's go here. I'm trying to read like 10-point font from across the room, and it's not working. But Katrina says it's warmed up to 27 degrees this morning, and it's supposed to be foggy today. Good. Yeah, Cakesboo did make the mod list. We needed someone in Australia, is what happened. We needed somebody down under who could mod odd hours when we do weird feeds. Richard sent a picture of the sandwich, and yes, it was an amazing sandwich, a work of art. We'll probably share that on Saturday, I think this Saturday, maybe with all the Christmas stuff, because that was exciting. And the fact that it had pickles on it is even better. Yes, we are back with, I think, Ranger Salinas still. I think it's over to the defense. Didn't they just barely pass the witness? I think that's where we left it. But we'll keep an eye on that and make sure we catch it just as soon as it goes live, which it has not done yet. Okay. Let's see. We have almost 100 people here, and half of you have liked the stream, which is wonderful. Let's see. I need to do. Trying to fix this here. 1 second. All right. I'm packing for my trip to San Antonio on Thursday this morning. I'm excited. I'm packing shorts. They have a high of 78 this week. 78 is great. San Antonio is nice and warm. That's where the trial is, obviously, the one we're watching today. So if the judge comes in wearing sarcasm, would I ever be sarcastic? If the judge comes in wearing shorts, you'll know why. Okay, so trial today, we should be getting near the end of the prosecution's case. I don't know how many more people they're going to have. They've pretty much got everybody, right? We've got both investigators, the intern investigator, the two evidence guys, the lab tech. We've had the ME, and we're ending up with Ranger Salinas. So I don't know who else they really could throw at us that's pertinent to the trial. Getting down to 0, freezing in my part of England this week. Winter is here. What is your part of England, Ashley? Which part is that? And how did it become yours? It's sort of like a two-part question. Lori says, got family coming in, Air Force daughter and her husband coming into town to Saturday to Florida for a few days. You know, when people visit Florida in the wintertime, they don't leave Florida. They're like, hang on, we can have this weather year-round? I'll take it. Matthew Harris is in the house as a recovery addict. I bet the prosecution puts the tire on the stand next and asks it questions, right? Asks it to roll around the room and leave marks on people. The tire looks like it had not been cleaned very well after they had extracted the track from it. It seemed a bit shiny, like it was sort of oiled up. Did you guys see that the other day? It's probably still in the middle of the courtroom. Good morning, Bailiff Abby. Good to have you. Matthew Harris is our resident lawyer. He's out of Texas. Super excited for him because yesterday he got fiber internet and he's working on a streaming station, which will hopefully allow us to go live together occasionally when his law schedule permits. Yeah, the last couple of witnesses have been bad. Really, a little emotion is all we ask. Just some inflection in the voice, a little emotion in the testimony, and we're happy. But it's the monotone, just, you know, I'm a statue type thing that's killing us for hours on end. Northamptonshire, so East Midlands. I claimed it on birth. I am Lady Ashley of Northamptonshire, don't you know? That's wonderful, Northamptonshire. That's really cool. I'll have to look on the map because I'm trying to place that where East Midlands is. Is that near Aylesbury, Watford area, or that's further north, right? Or is it like north and in from King's Lynn? Hey, Matthew Harris has some great news. Recovery addict. Guess who was accepted into YouTube Partner Program today? That is awesome. Congratulations, man. Well deserved. That is just amazing. Yeah, they took their time. It was almost a week, right? They took forever on that application. But you got it on the first try. I had to do twice because I broke the rules right at the beginning. But that is awesome. Congratulations to you. Eastern England. All right, Shane. Thank you. We're in the middle of UK, Nottingham. All right, I've actually got ancestors who were born in that area. They're not supposed to show emotion. I know they're not supposed to show like emotion. I don't want them to be like, and then he did this type thing. I don't want that, but just a little bit of inflection in the voice to make it sound like you're human. Like you're reading the sentence and you understand, you know, where the period is and not, you know, it's just enough to keep us interested. I'm not asking for too much. It's like 60 miles north of London, southwest of King's Lynn. All right, I've been around there. I really have, because I've been up to King's Lynn. I've been to Aylesbury, Watford, Rickmansworth, Chelmsford, Thetford. MB says, what is a partner program? MB, partner program is when YouTube deems you worthy of being a real participant on YouTube and then allows you to have access to a few other tools as far as editing goes that others don't have. And they also say that since you're providing content, they'll split some of the revenue with you because they sell ad space. And even if you're not a member, they put ads on your video and they make money from that. And the partner program allows you to get a portion of that. So that's exciting for you. Matthew Harris says, I have to thank you, Scott, as well as all the wonderful people here on the RA chat. And that's the Gavel Drops Discord. Hey, we're glad we could get you that last mile. You did most of the work yourself before we found each other online. But this group here has been amazing. I've really appreciated your content. So thank you. The Ranger was a bit dry yesterday. I'm hoping that under cross it gets better. We have seen in this trial a couple of witnesses perform differently under cross than under direct. So I'm hoping that's the case today as well. Still nothing. Law and Crime is just showing us a seal on the wall. So the judge is late again. I bought cough drops and Dayquil. Should it be needed? We also got cough drops here. I've talked quite a bit, and I might need that. So Shane, did that answer your question about the YouTube Partner Program? You might be a little behind on the video if it hasn't, but it does allow. It's called monetized. It's when you get monetized, where basically they say we're going to start rewarding you for some of the effort you've put in on YouTube. And there are different ways that can look. It allows people to give super chats, like on the channel today. We've already had a super chat from Anne, which is amazing, and thank you. But it allows people to give super chats. It allows people to become subscribers or join the channel and have memberships up. I haven't set that up. Really, I just want to keep my channel as much as possible what it was like before I was monetized. So that's what it is. Okay, I just scrolled past all the chat, and so I missed something. Okay. Good morning from sunny Southern Cal. Hey, Jay Hughes, welcome. I subscribe to Matt's channel, said Richard Davis. You are not going to regret it. He has some great content, and I'm sure more great content will follow. The judge is always late. We have had one day where he started like 15 minutes early, just like out of the blue. He's like, hey, we're all here. Why don't we just get going? And I think his watch was off or something. But it is the judge that's late. Heather, it really is. The judge is late every single time. The attorneys are all there. Prosecution, defense, the defendant is there. It's bizarre. Shane, you want to be a moderator for a day? Can you promise to be good? Because here's what I like, Shane, and I've had you as moderator before, and I thank you. I appreciate that. We're trying to geographically space out our moderators. So we've got some from the UK, some from Australia, some from the United States. But Shane, you have an opinion that sometimes differs with a lot of the group, and I appreciate that. I want you here for that. But it's hard with a moderator expressing strong opinions. The moderators sort of have to mute themselves a little bit and not chat as much as others, just because it presents themselves as this is what the channel says. And I want your opinion. I don't want to be like, hey, Shane, be quiet. You're the other mod. You're coming over too strong type thing. I want your opinion. So I can make you a mod for a day if you promise not to ban people. but maybe we'll talk on the burner phone real quick first, or chat. Is cell phone guy there though? We can't start without CPG. There's I think Ginger. Is Ginger in the house yet? Ginger's awfully concerned about cell phone guy as well. Probably for different reasons, DMB, but let's see. Yes, they have to be moderate, That's what we request of our moderators, is some moderation. Okay, today I'll keep my opinion to yourself. Okay, Shane, I'm gonna pop you in because I do appreciate you. Whoop, I almost got the wrong person here. All right, just be good, and we'll try it today, see how it goes. All right, I haven't booted anybody, says Shane. I think, Shane, did I make you a mod? Did it work? Or did it not? Did I click on the wrong thing? I think it worked. Okay. Shane was one of the early mods, one of our first, as a matter of fact. When he was, Shane was one of the mods when it was rough to be a mod, when it was hard work, because we had, I didn't have the subscriber chat turned on. And so we had all these bots coming in. They're posting all these crazy links and crude language and stuff. I'm like, help! And so we modded like everybody, and I think we even modded one of the trolls. And so then I had to go back and find who the troll was and unmod them and undo the damage as people were getting banned for no reason. And it was a learning curve for me, quite a bit. But Shane was there early on. Thanks, Shane. Glad we got you. I got an insane craving for a grilled croissant with butter, says Miss Chris. What was that? What triggered that? Ginger is in the house and very interested in where cell phone guy is. Okay, still nothing from any of the feeds. Lots of bots were unpleasant. We have fixed that. We really have. I think we're better. The trial yesterday that was just amazing is the Aaron Dean trial that just started yesterday, and it started with a bang. It actually starts in about half an hour as well, so it's going simultaneous to this one. But the thing that happened that was bizarre is I believe there was a young child on the stand testifying, and they were showing it. Okay, the camera's like, the judge is like, they didn't say don't show the kid, and so the camera's showing the kid. It's on Law and Crime. There's like a 12-year-old kid. He was testifying, and he's testifying about whether the gun was in the house. The lady who was shot was holding the gun down or up when they was shot, and the policeman shot through the window and hit her. Anyway, so he's testifying about that, but I think at the time he was testifying, there was somebody like his mom or somebody in the audience that was like coaching him, like mouthing the words of what to say in response to the questions. That's what I understood. So we've got somebody coaching the witness from the gallery, and then we have like 2 or 3 cell phones that got confiscated because people are live streaming from the courtroom. One guy had like 2 phones going, and the sheriff, like in the other room, is like on the internet. He's like, "Hey, why is this?" They logged into the live stream to see who it was, right? Because they're like, "Oh, here's the perspective. We can tell from the live stream it's coming from this corner." So they went in there. Sure enough, there's somebody. So they took the phones from that. They took another phone, and the judge is like, "How do these phones even get in here? I thought they went through security and everything." And it's bizarre. So that was and they ended after half a day, right? They stopped after lunch. Just crazy stuff happening there. So we might have to cut over to that one, if needed. Ken's 5 still doesn't have a feed yet this morning. I'm not sure what they're up to, but it's nothing good so far. Let me check the KSAT to see if they've got anything going on. And let's see, day 7. Oh, they just got a placeholder up. Okay, so we've got audio set up, ready to join just as soon as it happens. Input 2, input 3. And I'll turn Law and Crime's audio on just so we can hear if something happens here. And nothing's coming through yet. Okay, so and there's this judge who allows cell phones in his court. Actually, every state is different. So you've got where's the Aaron Dean trial? I don't remember the state that's in. It's clearly not Florida, right? Because Florida's like all cool about cameras. But here in Texas, the judge is like, sure, do whatever you want. Wear shirts that have pictures of the victims on it. Wear pins and buttons and ribbons, and he's even fine with like some audible emotion that's coming over the speakers. They're crying so loud when they're seeing these pictures of their relative that was killed that you can hear them over the speakers or the microphone in the courtroom, and the jury can definitely hear because they're between the microphone and the person who's crying. Dean cases in Texas as well. Okay, so it's just a different judge. The judge just completely can say, hey, in my courtroom, no cameras. And maybe it's because there are kids there. Maybe it's because there's some of the testimony, he might have closed it that way. This judge might be open to courts to cell phone or filming in other cases. But clearly the news media is there because Law and Crime's got a feed out of there as well. But Florida just has... Lori, Florida's different. It's just like they have a presumption of, yes, cameras are allowed. And if they're not allowed, the judge has to prove why they shouldn't be allowed. And it's actually difficult for them to do that. It varies in each county here also. Yeah, so every judge is a little bit different, and it's bizarre going from one that's so strict. I mean, like you think of like Pike County, where like we had two shots. We saw like the defendant, and we saw the wall, the mural on the wall. That's like all we saw of Pike County for all 49 days. And then you have the some other cases where you get like 4 different angles in the courtroom. You got split screen going on, like with Judge Doro, where we've got all this information. Here's our Zoom feed, and here's of this, and we've got a camera in the other courtroom, and so you really just it's hit and miss. And it's always good when we have lots of access and a very interesting trial. Those 2 things come together, and it's a win for everybody. I'm concerned that this judge is too generous, and this case may win an appeal later. Tag, you're saying too generous with allowing information in or overruling objections? It's like he's like citing the prosecution side too much. Is that what you're saying there, Tag? Let's see. Matthew Harris says it's notoriously hard to get televised proceedings in Texas. Well, that's why we have you down there, Matthew, actually, because for the next trial that you participate in, we're going to have you file a motion specifically granting us access to the live feed. And if you could take care of that, with at least 7 days' notice, so the judge, doesn't get blindsided, that would be great. We'd appreciate it, and then we'd all be able to join you. 80s Music Man says, Recovery Addict, by the way, I watched your wife's channel last night on negative self-talk, and it helped me a lot. It renewed my faith. You struck gold with the missus. I sure did. She is amazing, and I love her. This courtroom, cell phones, T-shirts, crying, coughing, fainting, Texas Spanglish, attorneys arguing to and with each other, nativity scene on the desk. This judge is a tad too lax on running the courtroom. Is that a nativity scene? Who was it that texted me that picture? I forget who it was. Was that Rich that sent me that picture? Somebody took a screenshot of this judge here in the Texas v. Ortiz case, and on his desk is like a little barn, a little shed. It might be a nativity scene, but it's like right front. We'll have to find it. We'll watch for it today as things happen. Texas, the Walmart case courtroom was tight with a gag until the judge was accused of being part of the corruption. He was very stern with the DA's lawyer. Have they lifted that gag? Tag is that? Have they done that? Hey Shane, my wife's YouTube channel is Homeschool Ground Zero. Homeschool Ground Zero. Never have I heard it so verbal. One lawyer whispering words to another, and we, the audience, hear it. Oh, that was so hard for me yesterday, because if the DA was doing the questioning, it would have been better. I mean, he doesn't have the best presentation skills, but he knows the right questions to ask. But his assistant DAs, he has to tell them. He's like whispering every single question to them. Ask about this, say this, what about this? And we can hear him and then the assistant DA trying to formulate the question while they're being prompted at the same time. And it was painful. It was really awful. We'll probably get some more of that before the case is over. If only it were that easy. Either there has to be a local rule adopted and approved by the Texas Supreme Court, or all the parties must agree that it can be televised. Insane. And of course, no defendant's going to be like, show me getting justice on live TV. That's not the sort of notoriety they want. Okay, yeah, too generous with allowing too much going on in the courtroom. Maybe Matthew could rule on that. Could provide some insight. Does Texas have a history of that sort of issue with the courtroom just being too lax? Is that grounds for an appeal? Especially, I think particularly with the emotion and the pictures, things that compare that to like Parkland, right? The Parkland case where the family had to just appear like they were news reporters, and no emotion, no pictures, no pins, nothing, just complete opposite. Unless they're Daryl Brooks, that is. Yeah, Daryl Brooks wanted the notoriety. He would take it. If you could put a camera in his cell, I think he would sign up for that. So you'd have somebody to talk at. Okay. I'm going to check the feeds one more time. Judge is almost 15 minutes late. But if the judge doesn't show up for some reason, first of all, he might have COVID, right? Because we had Deputy Jeremy or whatever, the guy who was up there, Investigator Germs, who was sneezing, coughing over everything right before the ME took the stand. And so everyone could be sick. Hey, thank you, Shane. I'm sure she appreciates that. Everyone could be sick. But going back to the question, Matthew, no, not grounds for appeal. We have 254 counties in Texas, each with their own courts. They aren't typically as big as the courtrooms in other states. It's usually packed for big cases. Judge needs a watch. I think he just needs his breakfast delivered earlier. Brenda, good morning. Froggy down here. It's a little froggy. Foggy down here again this morning. I like the fog. Okay, the problem with Texas defendants is defendants get representation. Victims don't. Sad but true all too often. Rich David, we need cameras in New York, but I believe the polls will never let it happen. New York's a hard one to get video out of too, I believe, yeah. I moved to Oklahoma from Texas. I can tell you the traffic here is horrible there, especially down near the border cities. I did a little bit of driving when I had to visit the Houston area for work many lifetimes ago, and it was not fun. I did not enjoy Houston traffic. Being late could be disrespectful to the court. Mustn't apply to judges. It's like Cakesby, when you go to the doctor. If you're like 5 minutes late, they cancel your appointment and charge you a fee. But if you show up 20 minutes early and you have to wait an hour, then you're just expected that's what you get. The special rules apply. Rank has its privileges. A whopping 3 degrees Celsius up in Canada. That is chilly. Okay, so we have a bunch of people here in the house. If anybody has, we've got a few new people. I can tell just from the number. If anybody has any questions about this trial before it starts, raise your hand, drop something in chat. We can catch you up a little bit if you need that. But today should be fun. We should be nearing. I say nearing. We should be nearing the end of the prosecution's side of the case. They should be able to rest here soon. Probably. I'm going to say definitely before the weekend, but as long as we don't have additional videos we have to watch that take all day, it should be good. Hey all, says Mal. Welcome. Good to have you. Judge knows court doesn't start without him. He's got that much. We really can't begin without him welcoming us all and saying, let's get started. It's 70 degrees and drizzling here in Shiner, Texas, says Lindsay. That's not bad. Do one more check of all the sources. And Ken's 5 still hasn't come on. For having the best feed, they are the slowest to put it up. The defense calls Whataburger to the stand. I need to have a Whataburger. Cup of Joe says, Recovery Addict, how many people has he allegedly killed? Okay, so a lot of people have speculated that there may be others. I don't think that's the case, just because of how the confession came out. I think he actually was remarkably truthful during the confession, but he did confess to 4. At the time he confessed, the police only knew about 3. He confessed to killing 3 people and then added a 4th one you don't know about and gave the information about where they could find the body. They went out, sure enough, it was there. So there were 4 people that he killed. 2 of them in one night right before he got caught. Sort of like back-to-back killings. And it was so crazy that he was actually looking for a place to kill them, and there were cops all over the place, so he had to choose different places to go. But yeah, so he's been accused of killing 4. The 5th victim, the one that got away, went to police and said, hey, she provided enough information that they were able to find him, because he was not even on the radar. He was not even a suspect. He was actually, the testimony we got yesterday from the Texas Ranger was that Mr. Ortiz was actually in the chain of information where people would call to get information about possible license plates and stuff, and he was in the chain when his information was called in or something like that. Is that what you guys heard? It was bizarre, but he was in an information side of Border Patrol, and people were calling him to get information about the case, and he was a murderer. Anyway, so he's killed 4. The one that got away was they say the 5th victim, but she was actually 3rd in order. So 2 were killed, then she got away, and then he went and killed 2 more that night before he got caught. CG says, what has not been allowed in so far? CG, almost everything that has been excluded has been photographs, and it's one of a set of photographs. So they might have 3 pictures of a crime scene, and one of them is excluded, or 10 pictures of an autopsy, and one of the pictures is excluded. And so I don't know why that would be, unless the picture was not clear, didn't provide enough reference or something like that. I don't know why one would be excluded, especially because every other piece of evidence, even the ones that were really contested, like everything they found in the truck when they searched the truck, has pretty much been admitted into evidence. His testimony, which he says was coerced, has been admitted into evidence. We heard that in painstakingly slow detail over several days. But mostly just a couple photographs. I don't know of any physical item of evidence that's been excluded. Let's see. There were some errors on some forms. They checked off white male. CG dropped the screenshot in the Discord. Can that cause issue with reasonable doubt? Yeah, there were some of the forms, like they used a form that wasn't, it's like, it's not the best form to use for what they did, but that's the form they use. It's like using a deposit slip to write a music song or something on it. It's weird. You know, it's like, hey, that's not the form you should have used, but they used it anyway. And so it sort of contradicts. It says there wasn't a search, but yet you have pictures from a search and some weird stuff like that. I don't think it's a big enough deal that the jury is going to be like, oh, I can't get there now. In my head, I just can't connect these dots. I think it's explained well enough. It makes enough sense that it's not a question in my mind. I don't think it'll be a problem for the jury, but it is bizarre, just how they did things. Just little, I wouldn't say mistakes so much as just little idiosyncrasies. Have they talked about the search of his truck without a warrant? Rick, they have danced around this issue forever, and I imagine the defense is going to bring this up in their arguments. But they've questioned people. I just don't know. All the evidence has been admitted. We've got the photographs from when they took it. The information we have from the testimony from the Texas Ranger is that it was not searched until it was in police custody. And it wasn't searched there at the gas station, but that's when the photographs were taken. It was opened and photographed before it was towed. So if that's the case, if it really wasn't searched there, maybe they have more probable cause. But did they get a warrant for the truck, or did they just search it? I think they just searched it. It was in their possession. They searched it. Did they need a warrant? Maybe they did. Has the motive been hinted at all? Was it drugs? Johnny Law, I think the motive was that he was, he stated he was trying to clean up the streets, right? He was sick of all this foul behavior and corruption on the streets and nasty prostitution that was going on. Well, he was a customer, okay? He was a customer. He'd call it cruising. He'd go cruising and go pick people up. But he was a customer, but then it offended him. Maybe it was his guilt, the fact that he was a customer, and he had to blame them for what his actions were. But he decided to clean up the streets. And the first one he said wasn't planned. It was like in the moment, I could do it, and I did, type thing. And then he's like, oh, crap, now what? And so then he decided to go do another. And that one was planned. And then the last two were definitely planned. But it's bizarre. It's just he just flipped. He's blamed it on the drugs, not like illicit drugs, but the drugs that the VA gave him. Starting back in February, they really started like giving him a lot of medication for his PTSD and things like that. And he said that's really when it all went downhill. Who took the photos? What are you? Which photos? Are you talking about the photos of the truck? I think we talked about the Texas Ranger took some of the photos. They have not called the state of Texas to the stand, nor will they, Monica. DB's not in the house. Hey, we've got some action. Let's bring this one up. Looks like Law and Crime has got a feed at least. Same shirt, same tie. Not sure how he looks today. Do you guys read anything on that? Pretty empty there in the courtroom. Let's see if any of the other feeds start coming through. Yes, our favorite ones here. We'll take that one. Nope, that was me. Okay, so Ken's 5 is live. We're going to watch this one for a minute. And we don't have any audio yet. But we'll get there. Okay, so any more questions before we get started? Because it's just going to be just a couple minutes before the judge calls us all to order. Will the tire be recalled to the stand to validate its casting from yesterday? Michelle, I don't know. I mean, the tire, it's there, right? They've shown the prints, but they haven't rolled the tire on the prints next to them and say, see, this is what it looks like. Hey, judge is here already. 23 minutes late.
It's a little darker up here. We're here for the jury? Go ahead and bring the jury in, please. Is it darker up here? What happened? Looks a little darker over here.
Can somebody turn on the lights?
Anything missing?
This courtroom has some amazing lighting. A nice arch ceiling as well.
I couldn't see my... Yeah.
Jury's coming in now, and the DA just walked out. Nice. I think he's probably checking on the witnesses to see who's there. But how rude. I mean, the judge asked everyone to stand, and he just left the courtroom. He sort of does his own thing. Even when other people have something to do, he sort of does his thing instead. Can we be seated? No, please standing. I've been standing since the Matthew Terry case. I'll let you sit down as soon as the jury's in. They want the linoleum back. Is that linoleum floor?
You may be seated. Good morning.
Good morning. Now we can sit. We have been standing. I'm standing. No, I'm not. I'm staying seated.
We have our witness. Mr. Getting him, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
I'm trying to give them whatever credit I can. Judge looks stern today. Like someone peed in his Cheerios type stern. He is not happy. Any minute now, Monica. Any minute now. SMJ is going to be coming up. Okay, I'm going to have to sync these videos up. They look like they're about 5 seconds off. 3 seconds maybe, so. I'll work my magic on this end so we can have it working properly.
You may proceed.
Your Honor.
Okay, hold tight just for a second.
My name is Lloyd Pettis. This is Raymond Brooks, and we represent Mr. Ortiz here to my right. You testified that you've been a peace officer 29 years.
That's correct, sir.
And
Okay, here we go. We fixed it.
Back in '93.
Okay. And you said you were there 4 years with them through basically 97?
Sorry, the audio was bad for a second, but now we've synced everything up.
And is that when you went to DPS?
Yes, sir.
And then you went to this Joint Operations Center?
No, I joined DPS and then I went to.
And he
CA,
says
then the
his
Rangers,
confession
then I
was
assigned
coerced.
to the Joint Center
Okay. So when did you become a ranger?
in 2011.
Okay, so you've been a ranger now, approximately what, 11 years?
That's correct.
And what are your duties as a ranger?
Our primary duties is major criminal investigations. We assist other local, state, and federal agencies with their investigations, border security, public corruption investigations.
In your career, how many investigations have you conducted?
Might be in the thousands.
Okay. And how many interrogations have you conducted?
Might be in the hundreds
And searches?
as well, in the
Okay.
hundreds.
So when you entered into the interrogation room, do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
At some point you asked Mr. Ortiz if he was willing to give a statement.
That's correct.
And he said no.
I believe so.
Okay. And you still proceeded to go forward.
I still read him his rights, yes, sir.
Okay. And so
The camera's
again,
focused
no
on the
means
flag, not on
doesn't
the
mean no to-
on the witness.
Depends on
It's
the
frustrating.
context you're using that.
Well, you asked him, do you want to talk? And he said no, basically, is what happened, right?
Yes, he said
Okay.
no.
Now, as the interview progresses, he's not cooperating with you all, right?
He's not being truthful, no.
Okay. In your opinion, he's not being truthful at the time, because at the time, I mean, the only information you have is from Erica Pena, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as you're going forward, number one, when you first entered the interrogation room, it was 321, right?
I believe so,
So he had already been there like an hour, maybe close to an hour?
more or less.
And you met with Officer Calderon, with Captain Calderon, to kind of figure out a strategy?
Correct. Talk about what we had so far.
And so you, like Captain Calderon, have experience in interrogation techniques, correct?
Correct.
So with interrogations, how many interrogations have you conducted?
You already asked this one.
Must be in the hundreds.
Okay. And you'd agree that based on your training and experience, you have a technique.
The only technique that I've been taught, sir, is build rapport with the individual I'm talking to.
Well, when you go to, how many classes have you gone to regarding interrogations in your career?
Several.
Okay. But I imagine, and is it a 1 hour class? Is it a 1 week class at a time? What is it?
It depends.
Okay. So I'm sure they don't tell you the only technique to utilize is to build rapport. They don't teach you that.
That's the only technique I've been taught.
I'm sorry.
That's the only technique I've been taught.
That shut him
Sorry,
down.
I was kind of speaking to myself. I didn't hear you.
That's the only technique I've been taught to build rapport.
Okay. And so you and Captain Calderon decided to try and figure out a rapport that you had with this Mr. Ortiz, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when he was in the room waiting for you all to go in, that was by design?
No.
Okay. And, time is passing, and the prosecutor brought up several things, which is that it was Mr. Ortiz that brought up the picture. Do you recall that?
Yes.
There was Mr. Ortiz that brought up
Katrina, there's
don't break
a
down
couple
the door,
different
don't ransack his
camera
kids'
feeds.
rooms.
Like I could do this one instead.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me fix
Now,
the audio so it keeps
regardless
going.
of the fact that
Okay.
he's the one that brought it up, you don't have to say, yeah, we'll do that for you. That's by design. You could have said, no, we're not going to get you a picture. No, we're going to do whatever we have to get into that house. You could have done that too, right?
We could have, but we
That's
didn't.
yellow.
But you didn't.
I can also go
And
to
it's by
a wider
design
picture like this.
because
It's just the white balance in the camera is
As
different.
you know by reading this, by listening to the tapes, it's part of a quid pro quo. Isn't that true?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. So you're trying to say we're doing this for you, but you're not doing this for us. You recall on different occasions you say things along those lines. You were Calderon.
Vaguely, yes, sir.
Okay. And so
We found
say,
out he
hey,
can do
we've
that.
done this for you. We've done that for
They
you.
each get to ask
but,
the question once.
You're not cooperating basically, and you recall that doing that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that involved several things. Number one, a lot of time has passed because what time was Mr. Ortiz placed into the interrogation room?
I would have to look back at my notes.
If I told you around 2:30, a little bit later than that, would that be accurate?
More or less, yes, sir.
Okay. And then you all walked in at 3:21. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so then it's until roughly 10:55, almost 11 o'clock in the morning, when you all have been outside and they've taken, I think, at this moment is when they've taken, I think it's clothing and the like, and then you all will walk back in. And I'm just trying to refresh your memory of where I'm at in the questioning, in the interview. By this time, all those things have come up: the picture, and the not breaking the rooms and stuff like that. You agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point, we know that the elected district attorney of Webb County is at the substation prior to 10:55 on September the 15th of 2018, right? And by that I mean Mr. Isidro Alaniz. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did you discuss with Mr. Alaniz at the time prior to entering the interrogation room at 10:55?
I don't remember talking to him at all.
Okay. So was he just strolling by and you happened to see him and then you went to Mr. Ortiz and say, hey, the DA is here?
I knew he was there. I don't know if I saw him or Captain Calderon informed me that he was there.
And was he there for another case or for this case?
He was there for this case.
Okay. And it's your testimony to this jury that the elected district attorney of Webb County is at a substation. You and Captain Calderon are the lead investigators. He is there for this case. You two are there for this case. And you're telling this jury that you just happened to not talk about the case. Is that what you're telling these 12 people?
No, I said that I saw him earlier.
Okay, and what did you discuss with him earlier?
No, I just saw him there.
Okay.
This guy,
And so
he
that's
really
why
wants there to be a
I'm asking
conversation.
you, that morning, on September the 15th of 2018, when the elected district attorney of
That's why I
Webb
don't
County,
like this
Mr.
feed.
Isidro Alaniz,
They keep
is
airing
there.
a
and he's there for
compilation
that case,
they've
you
created.
mentioned that. You and Captain Calderon are there for this case, and you're telling me that the elected DA and the two lead investigators just never happened to talk about the case. They just strolled by each other. Is that what you're telling these 12 people?
Yes, sir. I just saw him there.
Okay. But regardless, you took that opportunity then to go in there, and after what, maybe 7 hours or more, that's when you walked in there and you tell. Do you have the transcript up there with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm on page 13 of disc 6. Am I right? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm on disc 6, page 13, line 17.
Here, get ready for just some fascinating
Are
reading.
you there?
13, 17, yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's
Defense
what
will
you
have
say,
some emotion.
Look, partner, everything so far that you've talked about and everything that you've asked, we've accommodated you. And you're talking again about the quid pro quo. You are trying to give him things, the picture, whatever the case might be. Okay, now, half the district attorney's office here, he's right here. The DA himself, okay? Answer, okay, sir. And then your question, and now is the time. If you want us to put in a good word in for you, you need to, do you see where you say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and now this is you talking, not Calderon, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you agree with me that if it's a conditional word,
No, sir. I wanted him to tell us the truth.
in exchange for something, I agree with you, in exchange for something, right?
No, sir.
For a good word to the elected district attorney of Webb County, the man that would control Ortiz's fate. Do you understand that?
No, sir.
Okay,
We always
but-
confer with the district attorney's office, and they often ask us if they're being truthful with what they're saying.
Well, I mean, you said you didn't talk to Mr. Alaniz, right?
No, I said we confer on a regular basis. I didn't say that I talked to him on this case.
Okay, but you see that I'm asking about the effect and overcoming an individual's free will. When you say we want to put in a good
Which
word
would be
with the
grounds
DA,
for throwing out the
if-
testimony.
And the if is you cooperate. You understand that?
If it's truthful, yes.
Okay. Now, you go on further, and you say again, and again, you're not talking about truthful. You're talking about cooperation. Now I'm moving to page 14 to line 5. Are you there?
Defense is doing a good job at saying
Yes,
here,
sir.
you're talking about
And
quid
you
pro
said you-
quid
This is
pro
Captain
quo
Calderon.
again.
You could be. We've
He's never agreed to that.
cooperated with you. We've talked to your wife like you've asked us to. So again, you are implying to him that you've given him things and you're asking for things in return. Cooperation. You see that?
The only thing we were asking, sir, is for him to be truthful.
I'm just saying if you saw that, because it doesn't say, are you being truthful?
No, I saw what.
Objection, Your Honor. He's being argumentative.
I'm asking him questions, Your Honor. It's cross-examination.
Please, that last question.
Okay. But you see where you didn't say anything about be truthful in there. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry, not you. It was Calderon. Calderon is saying, we're giving you things, give us cooperation back. Do you see that or you don't?
I don't see that, sir.
Okay.
I see that Captain Calderon.
Well, I just asked you if you saw that or not.
Yes, sir, I saw that.
Okay. Now, if you go to line 17 of that same page, and this is Captain Calderon, a question by Calderon, and she wanted answers, and we told her that she could hear from you later. We asked her to go back to San Antonio, and she went back to San Antonio. You're asking us for a picture of your family, and we can get your picture of your family. We'll work on that. So again, you haven't done that. You're telling him we can do that, but it's if he cooperates. You see that? The effect it's having on another individual when you're doing that?
Sir, I see it as building a rapport with the individual.
Okay. Well, on the other
Says,
hand,
okay,
you could have
even
told
when
him, we're
it's-
not going to talk to your wife. Nothing stopped you from doing that, right?
That wouldn't build rapport.
Okay. So nothing in this interrogation room from the both of you, Calderon and yourself, Ranger Salinas, is by accident. It's by design. You agree with me on that. It's good law enforcement tactics, right?
No, sir, I call it building a rapport.
Okay.
Okay. He does not like these answers.
Do you see on line 24?
Good morning, John.
Again,
Good
Calderon,
to have you here.
same page 14. And it's going to move on to page 15, but Calderon question. We asked for permission to do it. He's talking about the picture. We can work on getting you the picture, and normally they don't allow stuff in the jail, but I can work on trying to get permission for that dude. You see again where there's a quid, there's a promise, but the implication is the quid pro quo to get something back. You see what I'm saying? Or you don't see that?
Again, sir, that's building rapport with the
Okay.
individual.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
He agrees
on
so
line
quickly.
8, this is you speaking, Ranger Salinas, on page 15. And you didn't want us to break down your door, and we're not going to break down your door. We're not going to ransack your house. Everything is in the future. You things that you're going to promise him to do if he cooperates, because right now he doesn't have the picture, right?
I don't recall what time he was given the picture.
Well, I mean, we know right now it's 10:56 in the morning, right?
Correct.
Okay, you haven't searched his house.
No.
So technically, in his mind, you could still go break down the door and ransack his kids' rooms. You see that?
Objection, Your Honor. That calls for speculation. He doesn't know what the defendant was thinking.
This is dead.
But the point is, this event hasn't happened. You're still telling him you can do things for him in the future. You see that?
Sir, I see it as building rapport, building trust with the individual.
Okay. By promising
Which
him,
is how he's trained.
Building trust,
building trust, by promising him things,
building a
right?
rapport, sir.
I understand that. I understand building rapport. But do you see that you're telling him you're going to do things for him? Do you agree with that?
Objection, Your Honor. That's been asked and answered.
I'm still examination. I'm going down the line, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know that question again.
I didn't hear you, Your Honor.
I don't know that last
Okay.
question. You have asked it a few times already.
You see, that's a continuum. You continue to promise things. You see that?
All I see, sir, is trying to continue building rapport with the individual.
Okay.
This guy is.
Now,
Oh man, Ortiz is not
if
happy.
you go down to line 14 on page 15, and again, I'll wait till you get there.
Psychic.
Page 15, line 14.
They have a lot of free will to roam, but
You
they
see-
can't
you
make
see where it
promises.
starts, help yourself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, So now it's Calderon speaking. Help yourself. Help us. And with what happened, and we'll get you that picture. Now, you see there that is a quid pro quo. Give us something, and we'll give you something. You see that, right?
Again, sir, I still think it's building rapport.
Look, you can answer that. You can keep on just saying that. But my question is to you. This is simple English.
Objection, Your Honor, he's being argumentative.
Yep,
Well, Your Honor, I
sustained.
serve an
No,
answer.
no sidebar, just ask the question. The simple English is sidebar.
Do you see there, in its simple English, where you are promised, you all are promising to do something?
He said simple
if
English
he
is
does
sidebar.
something? Do you see that or you don't?
I can't see how he would.
That's mischaracterization of what he's been discussing.
The word promise is
Well, I'll let him answer. I think he would answer. You may answer, sir.
I can't say how he would interpret that.
Okay. Now, if you go down to page 16, line 23. That's where Ortiz brings up the part about his wife keeping the retirement money, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if we go to page 17, and I'm going to see who's speaking here. I think it's still Captain Calderon. Captain Calderon ceases on that, and he says on line 4 of page 17, you know what? I don't know, but I can find out. You know that. That's stuff that we can work on. Again, something in the future, right? That's what I was trying to get out earlier. If she needs help after this, you see how Calderon is again promising to do something for him in exchange for cooperation.
Again, sir, I still think this is building
If you don't
rapport
see it,
with
you
the
don't
guy.
see it. You can say, no, I don't see that.
I don't see it, sir.
Okay. Now, if we go to line 9, again, it's Calderon, and there's a way that you could help her, help us, cooperate. You see that, like, that's a direct request to cooperate, and then you'll help his wife. Do you see that Calderon is saying that, Ranger Salinas?
Objection, Your Honor, that's a cop-out question. I'm not sure what it is that he's asking.
Rephrase, sir.
Do you see where Captain Calderon is telling him he'll do something for him if he cooperates? Here it's literal. Do you see that, Ranger Salinas?
I see he mentioned the word cooperate.
Okay.
I see he mentioned the word cooperate. That's the only ground I'm going to give you. They're going to go through every
And
example
again,
of this.
just to
And
make
again,
the point.
and again.
And it goes on and on. I mean, we already spoke to Captain Calderon. But do you see that you talk about the retirement, you talk about the picture, you talk about the ransacking the house, and everything is if you cooperate, it's conditional. You see that.
I still see it as building rapport with the individual.
Okay. And in different places you say, help us out.
That's my
cooperate,
experience too.
right?
When I was interrogated,
Correct.
I had the same experience.
Now,
He might have inside information because they did discuss what they were doing together, so he may be able to answer if he knows. And I think that's what they're asking for.
if we go back now to earlier in the day, you received a call from Trooper Hernandez about Erica Peña, correct?
Correct.
And then you and Captain Calderon at some point are at the substation with Ms. Peña, and that's when the bolo goes out based on the things that she mentioned to you for the White Dodge and for Mr. Ortiz. Is that accurate?
The bolo went out after we confirmed the residence.
Okay. And then at about 1:30, I think, maybe 1:15, you get the call from either, I think Bradshaw, Trooper Bradshaw, that they've located the truck at the stripes there at Jefferson and San Bernardo. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you arrive, according to your report, approximately 1:30 in the morning. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, according to your report, and if you need to refresh your memory, I'll show you the report. At approximately 1:34 a.m., 4 minutes later, you say, I utilized a Sine Nikon D7100 digital camera to obtain several photographs. Do you recall that?
Yes.
So, when you arrived, the truck, we're talking about the white Dodge, Ortiz's truck, that vehicle was already seized by law enforcement.
No, sir.
It wasn't seized.
No, sir.
Okay. So, could I have gotten you or anybody driven away with it, or it was seized?
No, sir. There was a trooper standing guard in it, with it, or near it.
Okay. So, I mean, nobody could have just driven away with it. That's what I'm telling you.
No.
No. Okay, so and you're a law enforcement officer, for Fourth Amendment purposes, that vehicle was seized. There was a seizure made.
He's asking for a legal conclusion.
He's a law enforcement officer. He knows about the Fourth Amendment, Your Honor.
He's like, sustained? Really?
For your purposes, you know what a seizure is, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That Dodge was seized. You had a trooper
Same
there.
objection.
It was seized.
Your Honor, again, that's a legal conclusion.
Okay. Now, well,
Defense.
at 1:34,
See the
you
eye roll
felt
you got out of
comfortable
it?
enough to go and open the doors and start taking pictures, right?
Correct. After I had shined the light inside.
Okay. And just to make sure, when you say you shine the light inside, you use your flashlight to look inside, and there's something called plain view, right? You're familiar with plain view.
Yes, sir.
And plain view basically is that anything that you or anyone could see from any vantage point is proper, right? It's in plain view. If you look into my car and you see a coffee cup and my sunglasses, well, it's in plain view. You could look at it as a law enforcement officer or any citizen to come by my window and look at it. It's in plain view, and that's proper, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you went further, and then you manipulated the truck by opening the doors and conducting a search.
Objection, Your Honor. It's a compound question, and he's injecting facts that are not in evidence.
Did you open the
Rephrase it.
door to the truck?
I did, but I had probable cause.
Okay. At 1:34,
Okay.
now you're saying you had probable cause. The moment you were opening the door, was that truck seized by law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay. So the minute you're gonna, before, that 1 second before you open that door, that truck was seized by law enforcement? Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you're gonna manipulate, you're gonna move stuff.
So when it's seized, they might need a warrant.
Your Honor.
Make your objection. Okay. You
Grounds.
manipulated the truck to be able to see things that were not in plain view. Is that correct, sir?
Objection, Your Honor. Those are facts that are not in evidence. You need to ask him if he manipulated the thing.
I just asked him if he opened the door. He said yes, Your Honor.
It's a different question.
I'll allow the question. Oh.
Okay. At some point, after you seized the truck, did you open the door to the truck?
Yes, sir.
And we have the photos where you opened the driver's side door. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And now is where the gun is in the door well, if you will, of that white Dodge Ram on the driver's side. And we have the photo.
I didn't see the gun at that time.
Okay. Now, you testified earlier that when you saw the holster, which we know is between the driver's side seat and the center console, you testified you immediately notified the SWAT team, right?
Correct. The people that were about to search.
And because you are concerned about officer safety.
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's nothing inherently illegal about someone having a holster for a firearm in a vehicle.
Not in those, in normal circumstances, no.
No, let's say in the plain view. You look at any person's vehicle in plain view, and you look inside, and someone has a holster for a gun. There's nothing illegal about that, right?
There's nothing illegal, but not at those circumstances that I was looking at, and the circumstances surrounding the event.
Okay. Now, you're so concerned about that holster that you immediately notify the SWAT team, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you are opening the doors for this truck. And, okay, you have been an officer, you said, 29 years. Is that accurate?
Correct.
You are not only a DPS trooper, you are within the DPS, the elite of the elite, the best of the best, a Texas Ranger, are you not?
That's an opinionated question, sir.
Okay.
He's like, those are your words, not
Now,
mine.
Officer safety is paramount to you, is it not?
Yes, sir.
And so you open that door because you want to know if the gun for that holster was in that truck. Isn't that true?
No, sir.
Okay. All your experience that you have, officer safety is paramount. And you're telling these 12 people that the reason that you opened that door is not because you wanted to know if the gun was in the truck.
No, I saw the holster, and I radioed in to the guys that the guy might be armed.
Okay.
Thanks for answering my question,
that
Revive.
Gun
Appreciate
is
that.
plain
Nice logo.
as day once you open that door. Do you know that?
I didn't see it that night, sir.
Okay. And you're saying you didn't see it because we know that DPS Trooper Santuro turned in that inventory form and he said no inventory was conducted. You're aware of that now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so if a Santuro said back then at 2:17 in the morning on September the 15th of 2018, that's when he signed that form or documented it, and it says no inventory conducted. You're aware of that form?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you're stuck because once it says no inventory was conducted, the only remaining thing is a search was conducted. Isn't that true?
A search was conducted.
Is it true or not true?
A search was conducted.
Objection, Your Honor. That calls for a legal conclusion.
Jesus, Judge, what
Ooh,
legal
allow that.
conclusion?
The question about whether there was a search?
It's a
What is the
fact
objection?
The objection is that he did not know what Santuro had that night. He's asking if he knows now.
Was it a search? That's the last question that
That was
was
the
asked.
question, Your Honor.
And it's a compound question.
Did you hear my question?
Rephrase it at this point.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. If it wasn't an inventory search, an inventory, then it's a search.
The vehicle
Is
wasn't
that true?
searched. The vehicle wasn't searched at the stripes.
You understand that once you start moving stuff, that's a search.
Objection, Your Honor. He's mischaracterizing the evidence. He has not said that he moved anything inside the vehicle.
Your Honor, the officer can say no. He can either say yes or no. This is cross-examination on
I'll allow the
capital
question.
murder.
He's so frustrated.
Okay. If it's not an inventory, and we've already talked to these 12 people and all of us, an inventory is to document things that are in the truck, right?
Correct.
If you wanted to do that. But then we know now that no inventory was conducted, right?
No inventory was conducted at that time.
Okay. But yet, you manipulated that vehicle in order to look into it.
Objection, Your Honor. Again, he has not asked him if he's manipulated anything in that vehicle. And his answer was no. He asked, did you move anything?
Just rephrase the question, sir.
Did you open the door of the truck to look into areas that were not in plain view?
The areas I was looking at were in plain view.
Not where the gun is,
Objection, Your Honor. He's arguing with the witness.
not where the gun is,
I didn't see the gun.
but you opened the door and now things that were not in plain view are viewable by law enforcement.
I didn't see the gun, sir.
Are you-
Where are the pictures? Sit down and calm down, Perry Mason. Matthew, what do you think? Is the defense getting somewhere here? They've already established the fact that the truck was seized prior to him opening the door, even if it was just 1 second prior to.
Will they mark as defense exhibits?
Yes, they were marked.
Okay, then the envelope that says defense exhibits, it's in there, and it's in there. An envelope says defense exhibits.
The clerk has been busy cleaning up the courtroom. You can see on the judge's desk, right in front of the judge. Is that in the nativity scene? What is that? Let me zoom in here. Oh, and I get just Ortiz. I waited too long.
Can I approach the witness, Your Honor? I'm going to show you defendant's exhibit number 7. Can you just, that's been admitted into evidence, so you can testify on that. Do you see where the door to the white Dodge on September the 15th of 2018 at the Stripes in Laredo at Jefferson and San Bernardo has the door open to it?
Yes, sir.
You opened the door.
Yes.
You took a photograph of that gun.
I didn't see that gun at the time.
Do you see it now?
I can see it now when you're pointing at it, but I didn't see it at the time.
Okay. And you knew there was a holster, by the time you opened this door, you knew there was a holster in the truck.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're testifying to this jury that you weren't opening the doors because, in fact, you were looking for a gun.
No, sir.
Okay. And you've been a cop 29 years.
Yes, sir.
And we know that Trooper Santuro said there was no inventory done
Correct.
out at the Stripes.
No inventory.
And we also know that there wasn't any need to be concerned about the truck because you instructed Santuro, number one, to secure the truck at 1:15 a.m. You instructed him to secure the truck.
Correct.
Okay. So we know it's secure, we know it's seized, and we also know that once it was going to be towed, according to your reports, you instructed Santuro to follow the wrecker all the way to the substation, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we know that nothing was going to happen to that truck. No one was going to get into it and search it or take stuff out because it was being followed by law enforcement all the way to its destination.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So any items that were in there were secured to begin with. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, once it gets to the substation, we know that Ortiz was arrested around 2:30 a.m. We've established that. Now, around 3:54 in the morning, you instruct Ugarte Nenke to go ahead and start searching the truck. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, now out at the scene, at the Stripes, because the truck was already seized, other than inconvenience and the like, nothing
sneezing.
would prevent you from getting a search warrant for it, right?
I didn't need a search warrant.
Okay. But if you had wanted to, nothing would have prevented you from doing it.
Probably the time at night.
Okay. So time, but I mean, legally is what I'm asking you. Legally, you could have gone, done an affidavit, and gotten a search warrant and searched it out there at the Stripes, right?
Not at the Stripes.
Okay. Let's go back now to the substation at 7209 Saunders, there in Laredo, at 3:54 a.m. We know the truck got seized and transported. it had to be after 134 because it says, I instructed Sergeant Santuro to escort the wrecker and the Dodge to WCSO, Webb County Sheriff's Office, substation located at 7209 East Saunders. So we know that it eventually got to the substation, right?
Correct.
Now, once it's at the substation, you'd agree with me that that's a secure area.
You could say that.
Well, it's not a bank vault, but it's an enclosed area where law enforcement personnel are allowed to go in only. Would you
Correct.
agree with that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we know the truck's not going anywhere, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And at that moment in time, nothing prevented you from going to go get a search warrant for that truck, legally.
Legally, but I still had probable cause, and I had abandonment of a vehicle.
That's not what I'm asking you. My question is, legally, could you have gone to a magistrate, presented your affidavit, gotten a warrant, and then come and search the truck?
I could have.
Okay. But you didn't.
No, sir.
Now, at 354, you instruct Ugarte to start searching the truck.
I don't remember what time I told him.
Okay, let me see. I think. I'm going to show you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 8, and this has been admitted into evidence. And this is, can you tell me what that is?
This is the general evidence log, collection log.
Okay, can you look at number 1? You can read it. You want to put on your glasses?
Yes. It's 3:54 a.m.
Okay, and what is the item that is logged in?
1 HK 40 caliber handgun with 1 magazine, 9 live rounds.
Okay. And real quick. And can you read out what item number 2 is and the time? With the numeral 2. Yeah, that one.
4 a.m. cash bag with makeup and syringe.
Okay. Okay. So now, I'll ask you again. So by 3:54, you instruct Ugarte, Deputy Ugarte, to begin searching the truck, the white Dodge, right?
Correct.
And at some point, well, we know before 10:55 in the morning. At some point, as Ugarte is searching the vehicle and gathering items, you are either looking at them or gaining possession of some of the things, right?
I never gained possession of any of the items that was collected.
Okay, do you recall Calderon taking possession of some of the items?
Yes.
Okay, and the items he got were the bag with the syringes and the like, right?
Correct.
And at some point, you all also looked, I guess, by ejecting the magazine of the HK to see how many rounds were in it, right?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you remember going in and at some point talking to Mr. Ortiz and asking him, why are there rounds missing from your magazine?
I don't recall that either.
Now, with regards to the bag, because you remember that,
Yes, sir.
right? Now, you need the items in the truck
Yes, the gun is in
to
evidence.
be able to
Thanks, Katrina.
confront Mr. Ortiz with, let's say, incriminating evidence. Is that accurate?
That's fairly accurate.
Okay. And for example, when you told him, we know this bag is not your wife's because it has syringes in it. Remember?
Yes, sir.
So you're utilizing the items from the truck because they're necessary to assist you in the interrogation. You agree with that?
I wanted him to have as much information as possible to make his own conclusion.
Sure. And I'm just gonna tell him, if I were to just tell you just generally, because it's in the transcript somewhere and we've all looked at the video, that at some point, either you or Calderon, I know you don't remember right now, but if I were to tell you that they say, hey, why are you missing rounds from your magazine? And he even replies, because I shoot up in the air sometimes. Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay, so we know that did happen. You all, based on the search of the truck, beginning at 3:54 a.m., were utilizing the items obtained from the truck to assist you in the interrogation of Mr. Ortiz, correct?
Again, we were providing as much information to him so he could make a good judgment as far as what he was going to tell us.
Okay, and the truth of the matter is, you didn't obtain a search warrant for that truck that day, at that time, because it was more important to you to use those items to incriminate Mr. Ortiz. Isn't that true?
That's not true.
He was still building rapport. Look, I got you stuff out of your truck. Meanwhile, someone's suffering an airloft gunshot wound from him shooting up in the air. Jenna, good to have you here. Glad you could make it. Hope your day's going fabulous. I don't think they really...
But with regards to the
I don't think they made any grounds here.
events that night regarding the search of the white Dodge on September the 15th of 2018, isn't it true that the reality is that you searched it out at the Stripes and then you searched it over here at the substation without a warrant because you needed that information to incriminate Mr. Ortiz?
That's not true, sir.
Ranger Salinas, I'm going to direct your attention to State's Exhibit 116. You have the exhibit for the transcript?
Oh, he has it.
That's a chance.
Yeah, he has it.
Okay. And at the beginning, do you remember who brought up the district attorney first? Was it you who brought up Mr. Alanis being at the station? Or was the first time Mr. Alanis' name was brought up, was it by Ortiz? Mr. Ortiz.
I think it was Mr. Ortiz.
I'm gonna direct your attention to CD3.
It's like it wasn't me.
Page 50.
I'm gonna rip this book in half right in front of the microphone. Thank you, Mrs. ADA.
925. The very bottom. And this is Mr. Ortiz speaking. On page 50. And he says, did you guys already wake up the Chilo? And it continues on page 51. District attorney already, and tell him that you had one of the 2 stranglings. And you answered, but this is Agent Salinas, well, nobody told you it was this way. And look how I am. This is him answering. I mean, you answer, well, you know that you're there for a reason. And his answer is, so you guys haven't even told the media, guys? I don't know. I don't believe that. And your answer is, we haven't, but someone else did. You know how BP works. What happens the first time that you get a load or something happens, everybody is there taking pictures, sending emails. We just have something like that. I'll be the first one the gossip, but that's not us. And he says, and it keeps going, and he's discussing how BP, discussing the text messages or the media messages that were being sent back and forth while he was in the back of the truck. When he got
Eagles Prey,
apprehended.
what
recall
are you saying?
Yes.
So who is the person who first brought up Mr. Alanis?
Mr. Ortiz.
Now, you were questioned, and you, defense counsel said that you were not seeking, that you never said that you were seeking the truth. Do you recall that he just asked you that?
Yes.
I'm going to refer you to, it's on disc.
Yeah, Eagles
3,
Prey, I'm here.
Page 19.
If you got a question, I'll try to answer it. I mean, I'm responding to chat live, so let me know if I can do something for you. Thanks for being here, by the way. We're taking Spanish
This is by Captain
101
Calderon.
right
It
here.
starts on
We
page
just learned the
18.
bad words first, because those are the easiest to learn.
And he's discussing, she has kids, she had an alternative a way to support them, but it was still a way to support them. She was supporting a family. He's referring to Melissa. Is that okay? The answer, no. Look at Melissa. And he's reviewing a photograph. Look at Erica. Reviewing a photograph. Shit, I don't know. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you.
Eagles Prey, you sure that's not the
answer
Aaron
is,
Dean
I
trial?
want you to tell us the truth.
That started
And
yesterday.
he says, I'm telling the truth.
They've had some trouble with cameras in the
Question.
courtroom, cell phones.
I'm asking you for the truth. And his answer is, I'm telling you the truth. So you did tell him that you wanted the truth.
Yes.
Did you not? Now, on disc 6, which is later on in the interview, page 18.
They're not going to move the case because they would have to start over from scratch. If they move a case, they'd have to get a new jury, and it'd be a whole mistrial type scenario. They're not going to move a case halfway through with a sitting jury. Thanks for the tip for everybody, CB.
And this is by you, Agent Salinas. And you say,
Yeah, I think you're onto something on that other
Okay.
case.
the question was, okay, if you help out,
From
Ortiz,
yesterday or
and this is
or
you
Monday,
speaking,
yeah,
if
yesterday.
you don't want to waste money on legal fees, because he was discussing that, why are we going through all of this? Just tell us the truth. You know. You already know the truth was the answer by Mr. Ortiz. And then Captain Calderon says, well, you know that, JD. And the answer was, you already know that either it's on me and you've got blood on my boots. And the question, JD, look at me, please. Did you also discuss the word truth?
Yes.
Hey, Miss L, were those pictures taken by the cell phone guy? from the angle they're
At
taking
any
it?
time in that
And,
interview,
and can you
did you use the word
can you share them with
promise?
me on the burner phone?
No.
Like the Twitter account
Words
specifically, so I
like,
can follow it.
We will accommodate you were used?
No.
Would you, do you recall Captain Calderon saying, I'll ask permission to see if we can take that picture?
Yes.
Is that different from, I give you a promise?
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
We're going to object to leading questions, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
Was there, as he put it, a quid pro quo?
No.
Was there anything guaranteed?
No.
Again, we're going to object to leading questions.
Overruled on the last question.
Thanks, Miss L.
Now, during your interview, and we discussed this when we had you on direct yesterday, you said you already knew he was a law enforcement officer.
Once he was at the substation, yes.
Yes. And do you recall him discussing times that he had his own investigations and that he would conduct interrogations and searches?
Yes.
And arrests?
Yes.
So you knew he was familiar? Did you know if he was familiar with these concepts and the practices of arrest, search, and seizure?
Yes.
And interrogations?
Yes.
Did he ever ask for an attorney?
No.
Did he ever stop talking?
No.
Did he authorize consent to go into his home?
Yes.
Did he authorize and give you consent for DNA?
Your Honor, I mean, just leading questions, Judge. It's direct, open-ended questions.
I'll allow the question.
Yes.
Welcome, Sean. Good to have you here today.
Did he provide his PIN number or password for his phone?
Yes.
And what was that for?
To get his picture.
Cooperate.
Cooperate.
Did you take a GSR on him?
I did.
GSR is the gunshot
Now, I'm
residue
going
swab
to,
on his hands. We saw that
refer
in
your
the video.
attention to the stripes that you were questioned on whether it was a search or not. At this point, hold on just a moment. At this point, what did you know after you had spoken to Erica? What was the complaint that she had made? What criminal offense had she
Well,
complained
Judge,
about?
compound question.
Rephrase.
What criminal charge had she complained about?
Aggravated assault and unlawful restraint.
And what information did you gain from her that you already knew would be connected to her statement?
The white Dodge truck, Mr. Ortiz, the tallies, and the pink small little flowered purse.
And a gun.
And what did she complain he assaulted her with?
With a handgun.
So those are the things
Morning, Jake
that
Kid.
you knew would be connected to the aggravated assault that Erica Peña was complaining about. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to publish State's Exhibit 23. It's already in evidence.
You may.
Wow.
Will you explain what's going on in here? Who is that?
That's me and Sergeant Santoro.
Had you opened the doors of this vehicle yet?
No.
Okay.
We haven't seen this one before.
What is it that you're doing right now?
I think I'm on the phone.
And who's that other individual?
That's Sergeant Santoro.
And what are you doing now?
I'm going to the driver's side door.
With what in your hand?
A flashlight.
And what are you looking for?
I'm looking what's inside.
Okay. And what do you see?
The holster.
Okay. What else do you see?
It didn't come out, but I go on the driver's side or the passenger side, and I see the tall boys and the pink purse and another brown purse in the front floorboard.
Did you get on the phone when you saw the holster?
Yes.
I like how this started right with the
And what
important
did you
part of this
advise?
video.
That I had an empty holster, that the subject might be armed.
Okay. Have you opened the doors here yet?
No.
Now at this time, you saw, what were the items that you saw in plain view?
A brown purse in the front, pink purse in the back with some tall tall boys, and the empty holster in the driver's side.
Did that match what Erica Pena had complained about?
Yes.
And when you testified during direct before, did you move any items in this vehicle?
I'm going to object to that
No.
question.
Did you remove any items in this vehicle?
No.
Did you manipulate anything?
No.
Did you believe that you could search the vehicle at this time?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation, opinion, and as they objected, it's a legal conclusion, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
What would be the ideal location to conduct a search?
At a more secure place.
Mal, we might need a screenshot of that happening. It was so loud.
Now, when you were prompted, or what prompted you to take photos of the vehicle?
Just so I can document the contents in the pristine manner that they were.
And when you took the pictures, you did not. You can go ahead and turn. And when you took these pictures, again, it was just what you could see in plain view.
Correct.
But do you recall looking at your pictures and yesterday, and it was a picture that you had taken, and in fact on the door, the gun was there.
Correct.
So even though the camera picked it up, your eyes did not pick up that camera.
Correct.
I mean that gun.
Correct.
So what was the purpose of taking these photos at this time?
Just to preserve the way the contents were in the vehicle.
So there were preservation photos.
Correct.
When you attempted to open the door, was it locked or was it unlocked?
It was unlocked.
Nice. Where are the keys to the truck? Because nobody knows if they were in the
Do you know
truck.
who the owner was of this vehicle?
Yes.
And was he present?
No.
And did you know from the investigation what had happened when the troopers confronted him at the stripes?
Your Honor, I'm gonna object to hearsay, and I'm also gonna object to leading.
Overruled.
Yes,
What was that?
that he had fled.
Okay, so he didn't have the keys on him when he was found in the truck. Mr. Ortiz didn't have them. He had his house keys, but not the truck key. Nobody knows where the truck keys were. It wasn't locked. See, you can see in front of the assistant DA, there's a whole pile of HDMI cables. I think those are all spares. They've learned their lesson from earlier in the trial. They did take keys off JD, but they already brought those up and said, are there any truck keys on there? And the testimony was no, there were no truck keys on there.
Now, after Ortiz was apprehended at the parking garage at the Ava, do you know if they found a gun on him?
No, they didn't find a gun on him.
Okay. And so, did that prompt you to do anything? Or inform the investigators to do anything, or the troopers?
Yes.
What did you do?
I told them if somebody can go down to the stripes and check the bathrooms or inside the store or around the area.
Again, because you did not see the gun in the vehicle.
Correct.
There was a dumpster by that truck. Did you have them look at the dumpster?
Yes.
I have no further questions, Ron.
That's witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, at this time, you didn't know how many guns were involved, did you?
Correct.
Okay. And the DA just asked you yesterday when you saw the photo, did you see the gun? Did you hear her ask you that?
Yes.
And so, am I hearing right that yesterday's the first time you see that photo and you see that gun there?
No, it was when I was reviewing the videos getting ready for trial.
Okay. But she said yesterday.
I saw it yesterday again.
So you're testifying to these 12 people.
Objection,
that-
Your Honor. I was referring to yesterday's testimony.
Okay.
Not-
Well, go ahead and ask your question.
Well, when did you see? She referred to a photo or a video. That's the first time you see the gun in the well of the door,
Yes.
and you're the lead investigator.
I'm the lead investigator for DPS, and Captain Calderon is the lead for the Wood County Sheriff's Office.
And you've been an officer for 29 years.
That's correct.
And your testimony to this jury is 4 years approximately after this incident. This is the first time that you see that gun in that door well.
That's correct, sir.
And you're going to stick to that.
Yes, sir.
Earlier she asked
Are you going to stick to that? No? Well, yeah, I'm going to change my mind.
Did you manipulate the truck? Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does manipulate mean to you?
To move around.
Move anything, right? Right?
Yes, sir.
Did you move the door when you opened it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you manipulated the truck? Yes.
I opened the door.
Okay. And you took a photo of the contents of the door well?
Correct.
And with all due respect, I know you wear glasses, but how far were you from that gun? Now that you know there was a gun there, what, 2 feet?
More or less.
Okay.
If you go back and look at the video, I think the light would have put that gun in a shadow as well.
She said, she asked you, and you took pictures only of things that were in plain view. Do you remember that? And you said yes.
Yes, sir.
That's not true. That's not true, right?
They were in plain view when I saw him with a flashlight.
Okay. Where the gun is, where you now 4 years later know where the gun is, without moving anything, was that gun in plain view?
No.
So when she asked you, did you take pictures only of things in plain view, and you said yes, that is not true.
Yes, that's true.
Officer, You just testified that that gun was not in plain view.
I didn't see it.
I'm not asking you, you saw it. I'm asking you if that photo shows things that were not in plain view.
Correct.
So the answer is yes. You took photos of things that were not in plain view.
Correct. When I opened the door, I didn't see the gun in there.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
This is a little point they really want to get across. Let's see what the redirect brings up. Maybe that if you could have seen from plain view from the other side, they could have seen that. We're almost done. They're narrowing down the cross back and forth. Well, the tires featured prominently in this picture. Looks pretty cool. The halftime show will reveal all, as halftime shows do.
May I publish a defense exhibit 7? Now, Ranger Salinas, when defense counsel asked you regarding the first time you saw, or let me ask you this first, just a moment.
Yeah, let's formulate the question, write it on paper, and then read it.
Defense exhibit 7. You opened the door and you took this photograph.
Correct.
You also took a photograph of the front of the vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the back.
Correct.
Did you have time to look at the details in the photograph that you had just taken?
Again.
No.
And yesterday, during your direct examination, did you take these photographs?
Yes.
Before yesterday, had you noticed this object here?
No.
What is this object? What does it appear to be? Let me see if I can zoom in. Upon closer inspection of
Enhance image.
of this picture that you took, what does this appear to be?
A black pistol.
What part of that pistol?
The butt.
But when you took the photograph, you just snapped the camera. Were you looking at all the little details in it?
No.
And because you didn't see the gun, it prompted you to do what?
Just close it back up.
Okay? But you saw an empty holster?
And it probably let the guys know on the ground that there might be a weapon involved.
And then when they didn't have the gun, after they apprehended Ortiz,
I instructed them to go search around the area.
So his instructions definitely support the argument that he never saw the gun.
testimony today that when you were at the Stripes, the purpose of these photos was for what?
To preserve the stuff that I had seen.
And also of things that you had not seen. Isn't that true?
Correct.
It was to preserve the condition as you found it there.
Objection to leaving your honor statement.
Correct.
When you say preservation photos, what does that mean?
To preserve what's there
Nothing else. I think they're done. They want to get the last word in, maybe?
Any further questions?
No further questions.
Well, that DPS form that you saw, that you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
It says inventory form. It doesn't say preservation form, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because generally, with regards to what you're talking about, it's inventory or search. There's no preservation. Inventory or search. You agree with that?
No, because
I just asked you if you agreed. No further questions. Thank you, officer.
No further questions.
You may sit down. You're excused, sir. Thank you.
All right. I don't think defense got where they wanted to be with him.
The state's going to call Sean Daniels.
Sean Daniels. Okay, so just a reminder, I've only got a little after lunch. We're going to do like a half day.
Quick question. The 116, was it there? Because I know he had a copy. It looked like. Does he have the copy or the exhibit? 116. Just make sure that the 116 is still there.
Make sure the witness doesn't
I don't
take
know who
evidence
had it.
from
You
the
had it or
courtroom.
the witness? Okay. Just want to make sure we keep it with the other exhibits. And you were asking, you have another witness today? Yes, he's accused. You're released from the subpoena.
He's all done. Cannot be recalled. Hey, Matthew, did you
Your next
catch
witness?
the name of this
Can you
witness?
raise your right hand so I can administer the oath? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're going to give during this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may take a step.
Pause.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I'm switching.
So who is this guy? Did they say Sean Daniels or something?
Okay.
For the court reporter, ACA Danny Elizondo conducting the question.
And you got them?
I have the mic. Test,
Thank
test.
you.
All right.
This is the new
For the record,
ADA.
Daniel Elizondo for the state. Good morning, Mr. Daniel.
Good morning.
For the record, could you please state your full name?
My name is Sean Daniel.
How are you currently employed?
I work for the New Mexico Department of Public Safety,
Prior to that, where were you employed?
the Texas Department of Public Safety.
What were your duties at the Texas Department of Public Safety?
I was a forensic scientist in the firearm and tool mark section.
All right. So this is going to be
And how long
matching
were you
the
employed at
bullets
Texas
to the gun
Department, of
and the
Public
casings to
Safety
the
as a
gun.
Firearm, tool marks, and analyst.
I think around 6 years.
This is going to be a big game of connect the dots as he tests everything
what were your
and draws
duties there
conclusions
with
that
regards
connect
to the
all
day-to-day
the different
work?
pieces of evidence.
So my job as a forensic scientist was to analyze
What is your educational background?
what qualifies me for this position is my biology degree.
Hang on, what?
Do you have any other education that you received, undergraduate?
I do. Yeah, I have a finance degree also.
Biology and finance, and he
What
does
about any
ballistics
specific training
testing.
you've received in the area of firearm and tool
Thank you,
mark
Matthew.
examination?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yes. Have you received any specific training with regards to firearms and tool mark examinations?
Yes, I have. When I was hired for this position, I went through a training program that was about 1.5 years long. We went through different, modules with the history of the field, different manufacturing techniques, a lot of firearm safety and function, a lot of microscope work. And then after that training, I go into supervised casework, where I'm working actual cases under the supervision of a trained examiner. And then after I complete that, then I do independent casework. Since then, I've done continuing education and This has been my job, 40 hours a week since then.
And at the time you were working at
It's
the
all
Texas
OTJ
DPS,
training.
It was a crime lab, correct?
Yes.
At the crime lab, were you licensed as a forensic analyst?
My thoughts
Yes,
exactly.
I was.
By who?
The Texas Forensic Science Commission.
Is that a YouTube channel?
And just for the jury's sake, how many times have you yourself conducted firearm tool mark examinations?
Many times.
At least
than 20?
3.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
More than 50?
Yes. I've worked hundreds of cases.
So it's in the hundreds then?
Yes.
Okay. At the time you were employed at the Texas DPS crime lab,
But seriously, biology
was the lab you were working at accredited?
Yes.
and accounting?
Was that accreditation recognized by the Texas Forensic Science Commission?
Yes.
And was that accreditation recognized and accepted nationally or internationally?
Yes.
Okay. So shifting gears here, I want to ask you a simple question. Is it possible in your field and in your science and expertise to determine whether a particular bullet was fired from a particular gun?
Yes.
Okay. Could you please explain to the jury how it is that you come to such a conclusion? What's the day-to-day, typical examination of a firearm and projectiles and casings?
Like a typical case that I work?
Like a typical case you work.
So when I receive the evidence, I'm looking at the paperwork, seeing what's being asked of me. What is the evidence and what's being asked of me. I'm going to take the evidence, I'm labeling everything, I'm documenting everything as I'm going. I take the packaging, I open it up, I see what the items are, again, labeling them and documenting as I'm going. I'm going to look at the fired ammunition components, what kind of bullets are they, looking at the cartridge cases.
I'm not going to criticize his degrees.
Measuring
Just
and
it
documenting
seems a
different,
strange career
characteristics
choice
about 'em.
based on what he went
If there's
and
with the
education.
firearm, I'm going to do safety and function tests with them to see if it's safe and something that I want to fire. So if I deem that it is something safe that I want to fire, I go into the range and I shoot into a water tank. I take ammunition that is at the laboratory that we bought at the store. It's ammunition that is very similar to the ammunition collected at a crime scene or by a medical examiner. So then I'm going to test fire the firearm into the water tank. I'm going to create known samples. So those samples I know were fired by the firearm because I fired them. I'm going to take that known sample set, I'm going to compare it to itself. I've already compared the unknown sample set to itself, and then I'm going to compare the two samples together. So I'm comparing the unknown samples from the crime scene to the known samples that I test fired from the gun. And I'm doing pattern recognition analysis under a comparison microscope. Then I'll form my conclusion, I'll write my report, I'll close that case up, package up the evidence, and then start the next case.
So he gets to shoot a lot of guns.
You'll examine and test a known sample to an unknown sample. And go ahead.
That's correct.
And so you're testing what comes out of the gun, correct?
That's correct.
Do you have a demonstrative on you that you can show the jury to kind of show what it is and the components that you're looking at and testing and examining?
I do.
Would it assist the jury in understanding what you're talking about when you're saying I'm taking measurements and looking at the size and all of that?
I believe it does.
Your Honor, at this time we would ask that he be allowed to use his demonstrative to educate the jury as to what it is he looks at.
It's a plastic model of ammunition.
Thanks for clarifying.
Go ahead and explain to the jury what it is you look at. And if you could hold it up so they could all see it.
Yep. So this is, just to help with some terminology, this is one round of ammunition.
He just had that in his pocket.
It's called a cartridge. This part right here is the projectile. This is what travels down the barrel, and this is, what you're shooting. This is the projectile or the bullet. So the whole thing is not called the bullet. Usually in TV shows and movies and stuff, they call the whole thing a bullet. but this part is the bullet. The whole thing, a live round, is called a cartridge. This would be the primer area that the firing pin strikes, and then this is called the cartridge case. So again, the whole thing is a cartridge. This is the bullet. This is a cartridge case.
I was thinking, yeah, summer sausage.
Those and examining them with the known sample and the unknown sample, what is it on that you're looking for?
Well, with the bullet, whenever the bullet travels through the barrel, it's engaging the rifling and the bore of the barrel, and it's going to leave, scratches on the bullet. So that's what we're comparing, these marks right here. On the cartridge case, there's a whole lot of information on these. There can be chamber marks on the side body here. Of course, the firing pin impression, and also this part right here actually slams against the breech face during the firing process. So you get kind of like an imprint. And so on this part, we call these breech face marks or breech face impressions. And there's some other marks, but those are the big ones.
So with these characteristics, how are you comparing them? I mean, could you explain to the jury what an individual characteristic is versus a class characteristic?
So whenever I'm doing my microscopic comparison, the first thing that I'm looking at is called class characteristics. These are design features that are determined before a tool or firearm is ever made. So an example of that would be the diameter of the bullet, the caliber of the cartridge, the shape of the firing pin. So these are general features. To give you an example of why they're important in a comparison, if a crime scene had cartridge cases with round firing pins, and you give me a gun that creates square firing pin impressions, and I look at that, I'm going to eliminate the gun as firing those because the class characteristics do not agree. So I'm looking at a number of different class characteristics on the cartridge cases and on the bullets. And I'm going to compare those unknown samples to the known samples, and I'm looking at those class characteristics first. And if those class characteristics, if any of them disagree, then it's an elimination. But if they're all in agreement, then I move deeper into my analysis and I look at individual characteristics. Those are the little nicks and ticks and the unique things to that tool or firearm. Then I'm going to do my pattern analysis on that. And if I see if there's a significant or a sufficient disagreement, then I would eliminate them. If I see sufficient agreement, then I would identify it. And in some cases, I can't really tell. There's just not enough information. That would be an inconclusive conclusion.
So when you are able to analyze a gun and have the sufficient findings, would you say, is it safe to say that that's similar to a fingerprint?
Yes, and that's a really good analogy. It's like the tool or firearm has fingerprints, and when you get that physical contact between the ammunition components and the firearm, it's a lot like the firearm is leaving its fingerprints, so to speak, on those ammunition components. And that's what I'm looking at. Those would kind of like be the individual characteristics.
So in this case, did you conduct any type of analysis as you described to the jury?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as part of that analysis and evaluation, did you prepare a report?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
Yes.
One good thing about an expert witness talking directly to the jury is he may be able to detect when he's losing them and not bury them with technical terms if he's able to. Okay, so why in this day and age of technology have we not created guns that are fingerprintless? Can we not make a gun that has the tolerances so tight that every gun from that production run would produce the same
We're on to State's
marks?
Exhibit 236. Are you familiar with this document?
They actually have two mics on that. The one on the little podium, little rod, is the traditional mic for the courtroom audio. That's what we're hearing from. The other mic
Yes,
that's
I
just
am.
the wire that's clipped onto
How are you
it just
familiar
goes
with
to the
it?
court clerk.
This is the report that I issued. It summarizes my conclusions of my analysis for this case.
Okay. Was this report generated in the normal course of business of the Texas DPS Crime Lab?
Yes, it was.
Was this report made at or near the time the events that this report talks about took place?
Yes.
And has this report been materially altered in any way?
No.
Okay. Let the record reflect, I'm now tendering to defense State's Exhibit 236 for review, and would like to admit that into evidence.
Assuming you're offering it.
Yes, I'm offering.
We'd object, Judge. Well, if I could ask a question. Did you prepare this report yourself?
Yes, sir, I did.
Judge, we'd object to being offered into evidence. It's not a business record. It's his personal report. Just like an offense report.
It's his report.
Judge, I would, if he wants to have a conversation, when we approach the bench.
All right, go ahead.
DA's like, hey, let me move up here. Okay, so he's objecting to the what is it? The firearms analyst report. So does all testimony just have to be from his memory? Because he's going to get into some very detailed technical issues here with the scrapes and the markings on individual cartridges, cartridge casings. Does it have to all be from his memory, or can he just hold it up there, I guess, and refer to it often? I guess the bigger question is what document would he produce that would be allowed to be shown? Okay, so most states prohibit this very action, zooming in on the paper that the defendant is writing on. Okay. This is an expert witness report, and so long as it was produced in discovery, it's coming into evidence. So why did they object? He said it was a personal report. It's a professional report. So according to this testimony, if you are able to change your firing pin in a gun between the time you use it in a crime and when the lab tech inspects it, and maybe change a round firing pin to a square, you just might get off.
Would it assist the jury in understanding the discussions we're about to have if this was published to them and they could follow along?
I believe so, yes.
Do you have permission to publish State's Exhibit 236?
You may.
Hey, Melody, the gun I carry for my concealed weapon is that came with a pre-fired round
Mr. Daniel.
in a little package.
Right here you have a section.
He admitted, you heard it here first. You have not been wrong, like ever,
And
Matthew.
results of analysis and interpretation. This list, is this a list of items that you received to test and conduct analysis on?
Yes, it is.
Permission to refer to Mr. Daniel? Apologies.
He's got big hands and they're small gloves. If this sound triggers any of you, sorry. He needs to snap them. Everyone's just walking around the tire like it's not there.
All right. I'll let you put your gloves on, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions while you're doing that. I'm tendering to you what has been previously marked and admitted as State's Exhibit 36. Is this an item that you received for evaluation?
Yes, it is.
And how are you familiar with this item?
That pause was just
Yes,
for
I
dramatic
am.
effect.
How are you familiar with it?
So I know that I examined it because I have my case identifier sticker on the firearm. This sticker is unique to this item. It has information like the case number. It has the agency item number, the lab item number, the date, and my initials on it. So I know that I examined this firearm.
And when would be the first time that you saw this firearm?
I would have to refer to my notes to have a date. Well, actually, hang on. It'd be February 11th, 2019.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do with this particular firearm?
Well, the first thing I do after labeling it and making sure that it's unloaded is to function test it. Checking all the safeties, making sure that it's functional, making sure that there's nothing wrong with it. And again, is it something that I want to test fire?
Okay. And did you end up test firing it and making sure it was safe to use?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And could you explain to the jury what it is that you did with regards to the test fires?
So with the test fires, after I fire them and collect them, again, the very first thing you do is you label them. And then I'm going to do a comparison among the that known sample of test fires to see what patterns are repeating.
And with regards to your report, right here, item 20, and specifically 20-1. Is this item that you received in evidence and tested the same firearm that I just showed you?
Yes, it is.
And with regards to this, was any evidence, ammunition provided to your office?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you do with that evidence, ammunition?
The live rounds, I didn't do, the majority of them, I didn't do any analysis, any type of comparative analysis with them. Two of the live rounds that were submitted as evidence, I used as test fires.
Would that be indicated right here at 21-02-AB?
Yes.
So you received live ammunition from the Webb County Sheriff's Office, and of that ammunition you used to make known samples?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm now going to show you
back and forth all day today.
And previously admitted as State's Exhibit 40, 41, 42, 46A, 45A, and 44B. Are you familiar with these items?
Yes, I am.
How do you recognize them?
They also have my case identifier sticker on the packaging, so I know that I examined them.
Okay. And when would have been the first time you've seen these items?
It appears the date on them is, on all the packaging is February 11th, 2019.
Okay. With these particular pieces of evidence that I've handed over to you, did you test them? And if you need to look at your report to refresh your memory to make sure,
I do.
we can move this.
Both the prosecution and the defense have the habit of just, when they're done with evidence, just piling it up on the edge of the desk around the clerk. I assume it's her job to sort it all out and put it back in packages.
All right.
You'd be like, well, this is embarrassing. I brought the wrong report. No, he's a professional. He's not going to do that. He's comparing everything.
And what was your question now?
Yes. Did you perform any analysis or tests on these items that are in front of you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. On all of them? Just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see. This one seems to still have, if I'm not mistaken, your DPS crime lab tape and has been unopened. Am I correct in saying that?
It's definitely sealed, and I see my where I have sealed it. Yes.
He's not saying you never opened this one. He's saying this one's never been opened since you inspected it.
Any of those that are still
Easy with
sealed,
the scissors, bud.
and then that way we can take.
That was nearly an assault.
Okay. Do you want me to open all of them?
All of them. If they're still sealed, please open them.
Let's get a quick frame grab and edit out that picture and put Dunkin' Donuts in there instead. I got the frame grab. We're good.
Well, this one is open.
Already. And those last
This
three
one
might
is
be.
open. And this one is open.
Okay.
So these three are open.
All right. Now showing you what's been marked and previously admitted as State's Exhibit 44, 46, and 45. Are these projectiles that you received and tested, conducted an
Why
analysis
couldn't he have done
on?
44, 45, and 46? Why did he have to go out of order and trigger my OCD?
Yes, they are.
Okay. I've now opened State's Exhibit 40 and retrieved what was in there. I'm going to do the same for 41 and 42. Now you said that these were cartridge casings, correct?
That's correct.
But they're also commonly referred to as just casings.
Yes, that's a slang term for it.
Okay. Were these cartridge casings tested by you?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
We don't allow that
Your
term
Honor,
around
permission to
my
publish
office.
State's Exhibit 40, 41, 42, 45, 46, and 44? Thank you.
Yeah, let's move the report from underneath it. I think this guy organizes table settings in his spare time. Like the whole layout. Placemats, napkins.
So these are all items you tested, correct?
That's correct.
And pursuant to your lab report, that would have been item number 4-03-AA, a cartridge casing from scene. 4-04-AA, cartridge casing from scene. 12-01, one bullet from Melissa Ramirez. 12-02, one bullet from Melissa Ramirez. And 12-03, one bullet from Melissa Ramirez. These would coincide with those on your report, correct?
Yes, they would.
And from scene, are you familiar with what scene these were taken from? I'm sorry, these casings?
It's my understanding they were taken from the Melissa Ramirez scene.
Okay. And after you completed your evaluation on this, these are what you would call, let me back up, these are what you would call an unknown sample, correct?
That's correct.
And then you had previously said you had 2 known samples that were fired from this firearm right here.
That's correct, but I actually had 5 unknown samples. I fired a total of 5 test fires.
So of those 5,
Because he
2
just
of
liked
them
the
were
gun.
from ammunition that had been sent to your lab.
That's correct. 3 of them were ammunition that were store-bought that we keep at the laboratory as stock, and then 2 of them were evidence cartridges. So a total of 5.
And after doing your analysis, which I believe you said you do it under a microscope, right?
Yes.
What did you find on all of these projectiles? What was the conclusion?
On those particular items, it was my opinion that they were fired by the pistol, that pistol right there.
Hey, Ginger, it's probably going to be just after the lunch break, so we'll probably wrap after lunch. And I'll leave you guys on your own for the afternoon. Yeah, the expansion pattern is impressive on these, Mac. You're right. Very good spread. They're designed to really transfer all that energy into the target, and that's why the bullets stayed in the victim and not went right through them. Hey, Charlie, I did get monetized. Thank you for noticing. I'm trying to minimize all the ads and make them all skippable. Because I hate to put you guys through a bunch of waiting. Really, there's so little incentive for me to get you to watch ads. I'm trying to avoid all that I can.
You had just said that after your evaluation of those, that it was your opinion that they were fired from this firearm, correct?
That's correct.
How did you come to that conclusion?
So just as before when I was explaining, how do I analyze a normal case, I'm looking at the class characteristics first, and those were all in agreement. So I go deeper into my analysis and look at the individual characteristics. And again, it's doing pattern recognition, and when I see a pattern that has sufficient agreement, then I form the conclusion that it's an identification and that the ammunition was fired.
The ADA really has to stand right there, like blocking the view.
Now, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 50.
Tell you, the only way something good is going to happen in this trial is if I take a break. I'm doing this for you, really.
Oh, yes, anyway. 47. 49. Sealed. So if we can go, actually before that, if you could identify this envelope and tell me whether or not that was something that you're familiar with.
I am familiar with both of these items.
And how is it that you're familiar with these items?
They have my case identifier sticker on them.
Okay. When was the first time that you would have seen those 2 items in particular?
These items I saw on February 12th of 2019.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind, could you please open them up? And for the record, they are still sealed, correct?
Please answer the question. Are they still sealed?
Yes, they're still sealed.
Thank you.
And actually, seeing where you, for the record, Your Honor, I'm going to move the State's Exhibit sticker because I do think it lines up with where he's about to.
I can cut somewhere else.
Okay.
You thought you were going to be helpful there, ADA, but he knows how to use scissors. Yeah, after this, really those envelopes and those shell casings, they're not needed anymore.
State's Exhibit 50 and State's Exhibit 51.
Mark them with my blood seal.
Recognize these items?
I do.
Okay. Is there any particular thing that you do with these to make sure you recognize the actual casings?
Yeah, actually with a lot of the items, I can scribe them. So I take a metal scribe and I scribe the case identifiers on the item themselves. I do that with the cartridge cases and the bullets.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit 51?
Only if you organize them in a very pleasing pattern using feng
That's
shui
correct.
on the projector, Mr. ADA. Toxic, I'm taking half a day. The family's going to go help with a Christmas dinner setup and everything. So
There seems to be some markings on it that I don't think you would see in a traditional store-bought bullet. Is that your scribing?
Yes, towards the mouth of the cartridge case. So
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
model, it's right here. You can actually see it scribed.
So right
So I
there?
put unique case identifiers, and they're scribed in there.
Okay. And that would coincide with
Is that like
pencil tickets, correct?
That's correct.
laser
Those
etching?
metal scribings.
Yes.
Okay.
Or does he do that by hand? Is he just that
So
gifted?
you've already said that you're familiar with 51 and 50. Now, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 49, 47, and I believe that's 48?
49, 47, and 48. Can we not put these in order? Can somebody just help the guy? 47, 48, and 49. 49, 48, and 47, but not 47, 49, and 48.
I am familiar with these items.
Are you familiar with those items?
The packaging has my case identifier sticker on it, and the packaging is sealed.
Alrighty. And again, like you had testified earlier, there would be some scribing on it.
Yeah, on the bullets, it's actually a different type of bullet than this, but I scribe it on the base. These bullets have a closed base, but I would scribe it right here.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit 51, 50, 48, 49, and 47?
Thanks, Abby. Reminded me to hydrate. Yeah, I know. Exela, I know he can handle it. He's good with numbers, but it just triggers my OCD. I have to put everything in order. Lori, this one actually isn't charitable. They're paying us for it, but our family decided to do this so we can use that money for a charitable activity this Christmas. But so it will be charitable in the end, but originally it's a paid gig.
Mr. Daniel, did you perform an analysis on all of these items?
Yes, I did.
And just so we're clear, these
I can almost see the pencil brand. Look at that pristine eraser. That has never been used. Bless you.
These items should coincide with on your report. Items number 27, 28, 2702AB1, 2702AC1, and then 2801. I'm sorry. 2802, one grave fragment, and 2803, one bullet fragment. And then just so we're clear, 2702AB-01 was one 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing from scene, and 2702AC-01 was a 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing.
This pencil
from
is
scene.
sponsored by Office Depot.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you did conduct a test on all of these items here.
I did.
And what was your findings after you conducted that analysis of these unknown samples to the known samples you took from this H&K firearm?
So the item
Probably
in the
do.
top left and the top center, I didn't do any comparative analysis because there wasn't anything to compare to. There just wasn't much information on them.
Sorry, which one did you not do an analysis on?
So I didn't do a comparative analysis on the top left item.
This one?
Correct.
47.
And then also State Exhibit 48 in the top center. There just wasn't enough data for me to compare.
So 47
to
was found
another
underneath
sample.
the victim when
Okay.
they were doing the
So you did
autopsy.
conduct an analysis on State's Exhibit 49.
49,
Yes,
I
I
believe,
did.
was found in
as well
her
as
hair.
51,
Yes.
and as well as 50.
Yes.
To your knowledge, do you know where these, based on the lab submission reports or anything that's in your records, where these came from?
I would have to look at my notes.
Please go ahead and do so.
Your Honor, may I refer to my notes?
We'll see you, Lori. We might be gone when you come back, so have a great
I
day.
do know which crime scene that came from.
And which ones were those?
The victim was Claudine
Loretta?
Loretta. I apologize.
So these came from Claudine's scene and from her body then?
That's what the submission form says, yes.
Okay. And after conducting the analysis, what was your conclusion?
It's my opinion that those three items,
Yeah, please-
the bullet
please stay
and
for
two
the musical
cartridge
number at
cases
the
on the screen,
conclusion of the case.
were fired by that pistol right there.
Okay. And just to get into a little bit more detail for the jury,
A dozen
I'd like to
tallies.
talk about, and I
Matt.
know you had mentioned it earlier with regards to the
need to get you some
firing
help.
pin, correct?
Yes.
Could you please tell us what it was that you found on this one, on this casing, and obviously the casings that you've already testified that you had tested, what their similarities were or anything like that?
Well, they had what we call a hemispherical firing pin impression, and the breech faces were parallel.
And what does that mean?
We're at the limits of the zoom
If you look
here.
at the firing pin impression, it's kind of like you took an ice cream scoop and scooped out ice cream. It's real rounded. Not just, when you're looking at it from this direction, but it's rounded from the bottom. It's hemispherical. And on the breech face,
Did you make a casting
you
of
can
the
actually
firing
see
pin
it on this model,
indentation?
maybe a little bit, well, maybe not. But the lines are parallel across here. And again, this is the area that slams on the back of the breech face during cycling. And so the marks on the breech face are going to be parallel, and they're going to impress onto the back of these cartridge cases.
Karen, the ME
And
report
Not just the ones that you've already testified to, but on
was
all of them
eye-opening.
that you tested in your report. They all had that same breech face and the same firing pin style.
The class characteristics I looked at were in agreement, yes.
Matthew, when is it not tamale season? Honestly, as long as you have corn husk to wrap them in, isn't that tamale season? I think it's not he's stoned. He's just very deliberate with his answers, MB, and I think it's. I think he's just checking to make sure he doesn't screw up. He doesn't like to make mistakes. you saw his face when they corrected him on the name, the Claudette, and he was sort of like caught off guard, like, did I say the wrong thing type thing. It's tamale season somewhere, Katrina, for sure. I want to see him take a swig out of that the little exhibit he brought with him. Maybe pour some water in there and slosh it around and drink the gunshot residue.
Now I want to show you what's been marked and previously admitted as State's Exhibit 145. Are you familiar with this envelope?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How are you familiar with this envelope?
It has my case identifier sticker on it.
And when would have been the first time you saw this envelope?
February 12th of 2019.
Okay. I also want to show you what's been marked for identifying purposes as 56A, 55A, 52, 53, and 54.
I think that's what he uses it for when he's not shooting other people's guns.
Yes, I am.
And how is it that you're familiar with all of these envelopes?
They have my case identifier sticker on them.
And when would you have seen these envelopes for the first time?
It looks like they were all marked February 12th, 2019.
All right. I want to take some of these out.
About the buffering, I'm sending 4 or 5 megabits per second of data to YouTube.
Okay, these are going to need to be opened.
All right. I think
But YouTube is saying that the encoder is sending data faster than real time. Multiple seconds of video for each second. Which is causing it to think twice and stall. So apparently I'm going faster than real time in my watching of the case. I put it on. I'm watching in the future. Played Yahtzee with one of my children on Sunday and was completely demolished. She rolled the large straight on the last roll after also getting Yahtzee, which I did not get. There was no need to count up the score.
3.
It was a shameful showing on my part.
Now that we've removed these items from their packaging, do you recognize all of them?
He had one of those moments where the words came too fast and the lips couldn't keep up.
Okay, and how do you recognize all of them?
They had my scribings in them, and I also write the case number and ink on the case body to make it a little easier to see.
Okay. And you did conduct an analysis of all of these items here?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit 52, 53, 54, 55, and 56?
Judge, if I might, have they been admitted into evidence?
Yes, these have all been previously admitted.
Yes, sir. I was verifying before.
Okay, it says the stream health is excellent now, so it shouldn't have any buffering right now.
Do you need to... Okay.
No.
Do you need to what? Please finish the question, because now I'm dying to know what it was. Whatever it is, he doesn't need it.
56, 55, 54, 53, and 52. Would
Okay.
these
I do not object to that order.
exhibits
It's reversed, but at least it was
coincide
sequential.
with items number 2402AA, 16 Federal cartridge, 1640 Smith & Wesson cartridge, 24-03-AA, again a Federal 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing, 24-04AA, a 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing, and items number 2501, unknown object submitted as bullet fragment from scene, and 2502, bullet fragment from scene. Do these coincide with those item numbers on your lab report?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And you previously testified right now that you did conduct an analysis of all of these, correct?
Yes, I did.
And after conducting your analysis of these unknown samples, correct?
That's correct.
So the known samples you took from this guy.
Yes.
What was your conclusion and finding?
Can you flip over State's Exhibit 56, please, so I can see the item number? Is that 2501?
I can bring it back to you.
Just a little difficult to see
Oh,
the
no
two
worries.
items. Okay.
I'm back. I didn't
So
go very
the
far.
item in the top left, State's Exhibit 56, it wasn't. Yeah, I didn't do any comparative analysis on that. It just wasn't consistent with an ammunition component. I labeled it as an unknown object,
Okay.
so not an ammunition component.
So 56 was not tested then?
So they just picked up something from the crime scene.
I didn't do any
Not a bullet.
comparative analysis on that, correct.
Was 55?
55 and the 3 cartridge cases, it was my opinion that they were fired by that pistol.
Okay. Based on what again?
Again, microscopic comparison of the class characteristics and individual characteristics.
Individual characteristics as well.
The tool marks.
Okay. And are you aware, again, just like before, which crime scenes these came from?
Sounds legit, CB.
I am. My paperwork has the victim listed as Giselda Hernandez.
That would have come from, we said the Hernandez then. That's where
Yes.
these came from.
That's what my paperwork has, yes.
Okay. And again, they were tested, and you, in your opinion, said that they came from that firearm.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to go through this for every single victim. So which one is this? Are we on 2 or 3 now? Yeah. He's not really good with names, and I can relate to that. I usually mispronounce names.
And finally,
One more.
I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 57 and State's Exhibit 58. Are you familiar with these items?
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with these items?
The packaging has my case identifier sticker on it.
Okay. And when would have been the first time that you saw these items?
February 12th of 2019.
Okay. Now we have this one.
Let's see if he gets the name right on this one.
We can open it up, please.
Trying to sort out a cabling issue on the floor here. Cables are tangled that should not be tangled, and it's bugging me.
Do you want me to open this one also?
Or are you familiar with that envelope?
I am.
Okay.
It has my case identifier sticker on it.
Okay. And when would you have seen that item first?
Also February 12th of 2019.
Okay. Let's open it up. Now that you're seeing this item, are you familiar with that particular casing?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with that casing?
It has my case identifier scribed near the mouth of the cartridge case, and I wrote in ink what the item number was.
Okay. And did you conduct an analysis of these items?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, permission to publish States Exhibit 58 and 57?
I think the hearing for DB in Milwaukee was already televised. It was very poor. The judge in that courtroom has the cameraman behind glass, basically isolated, so it's poor audio, poor video, but it should be.
Alrighty. Are you familiar with where these items came from?
Yes, I am.
Hey, watch his reaction for the name.
My paperwork has the victim as Humberto Ortiz. I think there was a different name that the individual went by, but my paperwork has Humberto Ortiz.
Janelle Ortiz?
Yes.
How she identified?
Yeah.
Okay, so you tested these unknown items, unknown samples, correct?
Yes, I did.
Which were recovered from the scene of Humberto Ortiz, also known as Janelle Ortiz.
Yes.
Okay. And after comparing these unknown samples to the known samples that you took from this H&K, what was your conclusion and what was your finding?
It was my opinion that those two items were fired by that pistol.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Same as before in any analysis we do, we look at the class characteristics and then the individual characteristics.
I will say that
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part?
I tear down all my equipment and set it up other places,
the
so I can't permanently install any cables.
We look at the individual characteristics.
80s Music Man, we've just had the forensics guy, the bullet guy, vouch for all the bullets or the casings and a lot of the evidence that was picked up from the victims. Basically, everything was, he said, it was all that gun. It was one gun that did it all. Everything matched.
All right. So just for the record again, you said you scribe on both the cartridge casings, which is the casing left behind after the projectile has been fired, and the projectiles, or the bullets, correct?
That's correct.
Is that the scribe you're referring to that you put on the bullets?
Yes, they are.
And why is it that you do that?
It's to uniquely identify the item.
Okay. I believe you said you also do that on the casings, correct?
That's correct.
And you said it would be somewhere in this area, right?
That's correct.
And so, again, why is it that you do that on the casings?
To uniquely identify that item.
Okay.
What I'm
You
doing
also said
is
you
not
marked them
temporary.
with ink, too, is that
I
correct?
want to keep doing this
Yes.
forever.
Would that
But
be the marking
there are
ink that
other
you
things
left?
I also
Yes.
do with the same
And why do you
equipment
do
at
that
other
as well?
locations.
That's to make it a little easier for me to see the item number.
Okay. Now, we just looked at, I believe it was 9 casings, cartridge casings, which again are, as you said, what's left behind after the projectile is fired, correct?
Yes, 9 cartridge cases were submitted.
you know what size caliber?
Kim,
these
get some
cartridges
rest.
were?
Thanks for being here.
The cartridge cases were 40 Smith & Wesson caliber.
Okay. Do you know the manufacturer of those particular bullets or cartridges?
The cartridge cases had a federal head stamp on them.
Could you explain to the jury, you had said Smith & Wesson, and then you had also said federal. Are you familiar with why cartridge casing, the maker would be federal, but then you also have Smith & Wesson, which is also another firearms manufacturer. Could you explain why it is that you have those two markings on a single bullet?
Well, on the cartridge case, the head stamp, there's 40 Smith & Wesson, and that's the caliber. That's the type of cartridge that this is.
The diameter and
so
length.
They make a lot of different types of calibers. They can make really small ones, really big ones, but that designates what
For the record,
dimensions
this is a big
of
one.
this cartridge. This live round of ammunition, there's standards, and when you say 40 Smith & Wesson, it has to meet certain standards. So that manufacturers, if they're making either ammunition or a firearm, and they're saying it's 40 Smith & Wesson, it has to meet certain specs. The diameter of the bullet, the length of the cartridge case, the diameter of it. It's so that it'll operate. So it'll chamber in there very tightly, and that it'll fire. And there's a lot of different calibers out there. So the 40
Seagull spray.
Smith & Wesson refers to the caliber only.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining
and
us.
The federal
You're welcome back
refers
anytime.
to who made the cartridge case. So Federal is the brand that just physically made the ammunition, and they made it in the 40 Smith & Wesson caliber.
In this particular case, based off of the projectiles, the bullets that were sent to you for analysis, were you able to tell what type of bullet they were?
Yes.
What type were they?
They were jacketed hollow point bullets.
Do you know who that type of a jacketed hollow point is commonly used by?
A lot of manufacturers, and it's difficult to determine the brand of fired bullets unless there's very specific features to them. But they don't have like a head stamp on them like a cartridge case.
And if you know, are you aware as to whether or not law enforcement uses that kind of round?
Law enforcement uses a lot of different calibers and
Okay.
different ammunition, yes.
Okay. But the jacketed hollow point in particular,
That's most common, yes.
that's the most common amongst law enforcement?
Yeah, I would say that's the standard, yes.
The standard.
Yeah.
Okay. And so here you have were all of these 40 Smith & Wesson caliber cartridges that were manufactured by Federal. I guess it was Federal that you said was the manufacturer?
Are you referring to the live ammunition or the cartridge cases?
Cartridge casings.
All the cartridge cases had a Federal head stamp on them.
And they were all 40 Smith & Wesson.
That's correct.
And all the projectiles that you tested and that you could have enough of a sample of, were those also jacketed hollow points?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to approach, Your Honor?
I don't think they need to go that far, Miss Chris. I think him saying it's his service weapon is enough to match. It also has the high capacity magazines, the 12 rounds instead of the 10 rounds, which is the traditional civilian model. Not that you can't buy those. I mean, I have a high capacity one. I'm not law enforcement as well.
Thank you.
Did he just give him tips on how to put the gloves on? You put the thumb in the top one there. Then you wiggle your fingers. He's trying not to laugh as the guy's struggling with the gloves.
Okay.
Now this, you're gonna feel some pressure. Is that what he's about to say? You're gonna feel a little pressure. Oh man. At GameStop right now, living the dream, getting my addict fix here and game shopping.
In conclusion,
Sounds awesome.
after testing all 9 40 Smith & Wesson caliber cartridge casings, you determine what exactly?
It's my opinion that the 9 submitted cartridge cases were fired by the H&K pistol.
It is my professional opinion, my expert professional opinion as a biologist.
And after doing an analysis and evaluation on all 6 projectiles, which were what we learned to be fragments or bullet projectiles that came from the bodies of Melissa, Claudine, Janelle, and then projectiles that were found at the scene for Griselda, what was your conclusion after testing these specific items right here?
For those 6 projectiles, I determined, it was my opinion that they were fired by the H&K pistol.
Okay. So they were all, each and every single thing you tested was fired from this firearm right here.
Those items I listed, it was my opinion they were fired by the H&K pistol.
Thank you.
What would you ask this guy on cross? Because they're about to go to cross here.
Further questions, Your Honor?
Here we are. This guy's going to like,
Mr. Daniel,
how do you do this?
my name's Raymond Fuchs. I'm just having a few
need a
questions
mic.
for you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, don't tick off the clerk. The court clerk rules in this courtroom. But not any old H&K, right? It has to be the H&K.
If you could start over, please.
Okay, I'll start all over?
Yes,
Okay.
sir, I didn't hear the first part.
Okay, this sounds silly. Mr. Daniel? Okay, my name is Raymond Fuchs, and I represent Juan Ortiz along with Joel Perez, okay? I noticed when you first testified about your qualifications, you stated that you had undergraduate degrees in biology and finance. Was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, just out of curiosity, what led you into guns?
Well, it really brought me into forensics. I've always liked science, and I chose forensics. I entered the field when I first started. I started as a DNA technician, which was a supportive role in the DNA section. But I got to see all the different sections, in the laboratory. I got to see fingerprints and drug analysis. I got to see firearms analysis, and I thought it was a pretty cool field. So a position opened, I applied, and I got it.
If I could approach with you, we're going to talk about this gun a little bit, which is
No gloves. What do you bet? No gloves.
36. It looks like I looked at this right there. So I'll just set it here if you need to.
Yeah,
refer
no
to it,
gloves.
Fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Well, let me see.
I'm just going to give you the gun. Here you go. Now I'm going to ask you some questions.
That weapon itself, State's Exhibit number 36, is a H&K Model 40 S&W, correct?
The caliber is 40 Smith &
I
Wesson.
believe the weapon itself will have SW on it, will it not?
Only for the chambered round.
I believe the model is a P2000, but let me refer to my notes.
That was correct.
It's like, well,
Should have brought my glasses with me.
So right here it has P2000 on the
And
slide.
then what's the rest of it say?
that's
that refers to the caliber. It says 40
But-
Smith & Wesson. Yes,
But I
sir.
mean, the weapon itself has the 40 S&W on it.
That's correct, yes.
The weapon generally has the caliber that it's designed to chamber etched into it. So that's why you have an H&K brand with S&W etched into it, which is S&W is Smith & Wesson.
Metal is that barrel made out of?
Steel.
Do you know what type of steel?
I don't.
I mean, whether it's carbon steel, stainless steel.
No, sir, I don't.
So you don't know how much vanadium content it might have, or how much chromium content it might have?
No, sir, that's getting outside my area of expertise.
Okay. What type of bore does that barrel have?
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
Like the rifling?
Okay, so you wouldn't know the different, a conventional bore as opposed to a button bore?
Are you referring to the rifling, or?
Yes, I'm talking about how the bore is created.
Well, the rifling is polygonal.
Okay, and
Polygonal?
what's the difference in that? In polygonal as opposed to what other kind?
Well, there's conventional rifling. Those are the two big ones. There's also polygonal with rails.
Now, when you test, you shoot a test fire, as it were, and recover that projectile.
Yes, sir.
And then you compare it to the ones that have been submitted to you in the laboratory.
Yes, sir.
What particularly are you looking for to compare them?
Again, I'm looking at class characteristics, but I can kind of do that before I test fire. And then I'm going to, but there's some class characteristics I do need to test fire, and that's the type of rifling, and also the rifling widths and dimensions. And then once I compare the class characteristics and I see that they're in agreement, then I look at the individual characteristics.
Okay, and again, is there certain terminology for what you're looking for?
Individual characteristics is the term we use. Yes, sir.
Something like landing grooves is sometimes used?
Landing grooves is referred to conventional rifling, yes.
Okay, but this has what type?
Polygonal.
Okay, and what you're looking for then, is it ever referred to instead of landing grooves as hills and valleys?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, you've heard that
By
before.
amateurs.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And where on the projectile do you look for these things? I mean,
Close,
exactly
TBR.
How do
Close.
you go about doing this?
So I put the two objects up on my comparison microscope where I can see both of them, and I can kind of move them around. I can magnify them. I can change the lighting. I can turn them and rotate them. And I'm looking at pattern recognition. And so I find an area that may have a lot of individual characteristics on it, and then I rotate the other one to see if I can find that same pattern. When I find an orientation that I like, either the pattern is really good, or I can rotate it around, and whenever I find an orientation I like, I rotate the bullet around.
This witness looks
looking
like Josh
at
Powell.
all the markings and everything, and seeing
Do
if
you guys know the
everything's
Susan
lined
Powell
up.
cold case? This looks like Josh Powell.
If I could show you State Exhibit 57.
Thanks.
Now, where on that did you exactly look for what you just described?
So it'll probably be easier to see on my model, but it would be these markings here. So whenever the bullet is fired, it's engaging that rifling to create. The rifling's job is to impart a spin on the bullet, a lot like a quarterback throwing a football. It's to increase the accuracy and the distance of the bullet. So it has to engage that rifling and get that metal-on-metal contact. And so that's the area that I'm looking at.
You said that you did have some projectiles you just fired. Did you bring those with you?
I did not know.
Okay. So we're not going to be able to see how much damage is done to that State's exhibit I just showed you compared to the normal projectile.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, I think the State's exhibit 56, was it, that projectile I had in 57?
Yes, sir. 57, yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, it's I mean, it's certainly compressed.
You're talking about the shape of the bullet?
Yeah, I'm talking about how it's.
Yeah, so this is a jacketed hollow point bullet. It's so it's a different style than this bullet. It actually has a hollow cavity right here, and its purpose is when it hits to expand, and the term we use is mushroom. So this is kind of a
Transfer
normal
the
shape
energy.
for a jacketed hollow point bullet. I did bend the petals out, but the petals, much like the nose area here, do not engage the rifling. It's not, the diameter isn't wide enough. So this is the bearing surface, and this is what I'm looking at.
And so the part that you call petals is from what part of the bullet?
So it's part of the nose area, and again, it's designed to expand out.
On impact, not while firing.
Do you know that this, well, the weapon we're talking about here?
It's exactly like a flower,
We
but
talked
with
about
more blood.
How the bore? Do you know how the bore was made in that barrel?
No, sir, I don't.
Are you familiar with any of the milling techniques for barrels?
Not with H&K, sir.
Okay, so you don't know if they use like a computer
I'm telling you,
numerical control.
that's the name that came to mind.
Bore, you know, CNC
Josh
milling.
Powell, he's dead now, so it can't
I
be the
believe
same guy,
that the
but-
bore is made with button rifling, but I would have to contact H&K to confirm.
And now you say that you did the test fire of that weapon and compared it to these projectiles that were recovered, say, during the autopsy that were submitted to you.
Yes, I did a comparison.
Okay. And how many of these H&K 40 calibers have you examined?
I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, have you examined other ones?
I've examined a number of H&Ks, but I couldn't give you a number.
Well, and having done that, have you ever gone back and made comparisons to the other ones?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. So what we're talking about here is a science of absolute inclusion.
I think a couple.
Once you find a match, it's game over.
Is that a question? Or?
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
I'm saying, is that the way it works?
Well, I testified that it's my opinion that the ammunition was fired by the pistol.
Well, and this is based on the training and experience that you have. So whoever trained you said this is how it works. Is that correct?
Well, we did. We read research. We did tests ourselves. And so the training really establishes the foundation for the field.
Do you have any idea how many of these H&K 40 caliber weapons were manufactured?
No, sir, I don't.
And they are manufactured in Germany, are they not?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and you're aware that in the United States and Germany, they use different metals to make barrels, for example.
I would have to confirm that, but
You can trust me on it if you'd like, but, and they also use different manufacturing methods. Would you agree?
that's getting into manufacturing, and you're correct. Over time, they do change manufacturing techniques.
Okay. For example, H&K advertises that the barrel in that weapon is good for at least 10,000 rounds. Would you say that's a lot of rounds for a gun?
Yeah.
Okay. So the barrel must be pretty stout material?
Yes.
Okay. And there must be very tightly controlled manufacture?
Yes.
Okay. And so what I'm suggesting or asking you is, you don't make a comparison of these unknown projectiles to other barrels other than the one that's submitted to you.
That's correct.
So you really don't know whether these projectiles could have possibly been fired from another weapon.
That's not my opinion.
Well, but your opinion is based on what your education is and what you believe. The point is, you don't do these other tests, so you cannot know.
Well, we do. There is research out there. There's a famous one where they took 10 Ruger barrels that were manufactured one after another on the assembly line, and then bullets are fired through those barrels. And I actually took that test in research, and you can tell which bullet came from which barrel. So a test is given, again, with 10 barrels that are manufactured one after another on the assembly line. The test is given to us, and I scored 100% on that test. So obviously the science works.
And was that done with an H&K P2000 40 caliber?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you, sir.
Any further redirect?
I have a couple questions, if I may proceed, Your Honor. There was talk about the hollow point, and I just want to make it clear what it is that we were talking about. I believe this is the one. State's Exhibit 57. Permission to publish? All right. So this is a jacketed hollow point round, correct?
That's correct.
And you said there's a, in here, there's a hollow, what was it that you described it as? A hollow cavity? Or how did you describe it?
So it's called a jacketed hollow point bullet. This would be a full metal jacket bullet. It has, the nose is solid. The hollow point.
When he says this, he's talking about his
cavity.
demonstration, not the one.
So
on
this
the,
would be
yeah.
more of like a penetrating round where it just kind of goes through. This would be like a hollow point round, and when it hits, it would expand. It's designed to expand.
What is the purpose and reason for the designing a bullet that expands on impact?
So there's two kind of general reasons why. One is to create a little bit bigger of a wound cavity when it hits a person. The other thing is if it hits a wall or something, it's not going to penetrate quite as much.
So you don't
like
go
a
through
home
several
defense
rooms.
situation, you could hit a wall and it may not penetrate through and hit somebody else kind of situation. But that's the thought behind it.
Okay. Now, there was talks about a pedal. You had mentioned something about a pedal. What is the pedal when we're talking about this particular jacketed hollow point?
So if y'all can see the screen, it's kind of like flower petals that kind of come out. So it mushrooms out, but each little petal, it's designed to kind of break like that.
They're
There's
like
little
lines
lines that are
They're striations, they're pre-notched.
Scratched in there. They're called skives, but they're designed to create petals and mushroom out.
So these are because you said they had lines. These are perforated bullets that have lines to allow it to petal out in this design.
Yeah, that's a normal looking design when it expands. Now I did bend the petals out straight because the petals can kind of cover the bearing surface, and so I bent them out straight. But typically they kind of mushroom, like look like a mushroom, if that makes any sense at all.
So I do want to actually ask you about that. You said that the petals cover which area again?
The bearing surface, where it engages the rifling.
So the bearing surface is what engages the rifling.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what engages it to spin, like you said, a quarterback throwing a football.
That's correct.
To go further and more precise.
Yes, more accurate. Yep.
And you look for rifling when you conduct an examination on an unknown source, correct? You try to see what's the rifling on this, compare it to a known source.
Yes, that's a class characteristic that we look at.
So this bullet looks pretty beat up. And it may be difficult.
Isabella, we're just finishing the forensics analysis of the ammunition and the bullets, or the casings and the bullets.
Actually, in our field, this bullet is in really, really good shape.
He's like, it's not beat up. This is a great one.
The base is in round. It's not out of. It's in excellent shape.
So this area right here, past the petals, where it, is solid, like you said, in good shape, that is where you're looking for the rifling. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, typically it's, again, this bullet kind of shows it. You kind of have the nose area that's kind of pointed down, it kind of tapers. This part is not going to engage the rifling. This part and beyond is going to engage.
Now, I'm going to permission to approach you. I'm going to show you what, again, been marked as, and admitted, as states Exhibit 57. If I show you, here, you can take a hold of that. If I show it to you like that, with the naked eye alone, as you're looking at it right now in this courtroom,
See you last poet.
can you tell me anything about the rifling?
Well, I don't like to do analysis on the stand, and as I get older, my eyes aren't getting as good, so I need glasses to. But I do have in my notes that it's a polygonal 6 right rifling.
Okay. So is it safe to say then that this is something that's done on a microscopic level?
Yeah, I mean, typically I put it under a stereoscope to look at the rifling and count the lands and grooves and look at the direction of twist.
Okay. You also talked about an article that was put out or a study that was put out with regards to the 10 Ruger barrels that were manufactured one after the other, and that science allows you to say exactly which barrel fired which particular bullet. Do you know why that is?
I do.
Could you please explain to the jury why that is the case?
So the surface of tools and firearms, they have random, unique, microscopic features on them, again, kind of like fingerprints. And when the barrel is made out of, it's almost always made out of steel, a real hard metal. And when it comes in contact with softer metals like brass or copper, which ammunition is made out of usually, the harder barrel is going to leave those random, unique, microscopic features on the softer metal.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Step down. Your excuse.
Thank you so much.
You're released from the subpoena. You may go back to your business.
Thank you.
You can keep the gloves too. That's one of the perks of testifying in this trial. We're about to go to lunch.
Yes, that's fine.
All right. What are they going to do now? Call for a mistrial? His cousin Vinny going to the back of the courtroom and holding up fingers for the witness's eyesight. No, they could have cross-examined him on the eyesight, but I don't know. I expect a poem when you come back, last poet. Yes, that is due. Silver, yes, I carry the silver ones. Well, you have to imagine that all the attorney's overhead must come out at $75 an hour. Malpractice insurance, Westlaw subscriptions, and paralegals have to be paid out of that. Yeah, $75 an hour. That's not going to cover a lot, considering their costs. Joellen, welcome back. I think we're about ready to wrap for lunch. After the judge handles this little sidebar issue, which he probably won't tell us what it pertained to, because he's been pretty secretive like that. Then we're probably going to go to lunch, and that is when I will probably wrap up for the day. So it's about 12:30 my time. Maybe we'll have one more witness start, because they're an hour behind me. It's only 11:30 in Texas, right? Okay. How do you get out of court appointed? Yeah, can you not take court appointed? I think, don't you are you required to do a certain amount of pro bono work, just to stay in good graces with your fellow lawyers? It's like everyone has to take their turn, right? Or at least every not every lawyer, but every
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to actually recess for lunch, and you'll be on break until 1 p.m. It's 11:35, so you have a little longer lunch break than we've had. Again, I'll just remind you not to discuss the facts of the case, not to watch any news accounts or read any articles regarding this case. So you'll be on lunch break until 1 p.m. Thank you.
All right, Mr.
Who is yelling shush shush? Oh, someone's saying shush shush. Does anyone know where the woman assistant DA went? Lindsay, she sat on the back row. The DA, he stays on the front row all the time. That's his chair right there, center on the aisle, so he can stick his big boots out there in the aisle and trip anyone as they go by. That's his spot. The seat next to him is reserved for whichever assistant is going to be questioning that specific witness or handling the cross. The defense only has the two, and so they just stay there the whole time. But prosecution has a team of 4 or 5 people. It is Taco Tuesday time for the jurors, maybe even tamales, because tamales are in season. They just finished growing and have been picked and are now being provided for people. But that's about it. Okay, can I take a half a thumb back? What? What'd you do? You lost half a thumb? CB Clark says, well, I'm really concerned about Matthew's ability to recreate Hefner's mansion in Lubbock or Loveland or whatever. How's he going to do that on $75 an hour? He needs at least $85. Does every lawyer go on the list? Finish the cases assigned and get off the list. Are you on the list until you finish your cases? Or can you say, hey, my caseload is, I'm full. I can't take any more. You've got to realize in Matthew's, in his billing, he has to also incorporate the cost for the ducks. Because he does maintain a modest flock of fowl there in the backyard, and they need to be fed too. I mean, ducks need food too. Let's make sure we got everyone's questions. I hope Tiffany says, I hope your family time and Christmas activities are great. Keep you posted if anything interesting happens while you're away. Good. Send it to the burner phone, and I'll keep checking it. Awesome. Okay. That means it's time. It's time for us to go to lunch, and it's time for me to get ready and go do some family things today. You guys have a wonderful afternoon. If you're following this trial, whether it's on Ken's 5, which is my preferred channel to watch us on, or KSAT, or if you even have to go to Law and Crime, I wish you luck, and I wish amazing things happen that we can talk about tomorrow morning, because we will. Also, we're going to keep up to date a little bit with the other trial that the judge had some live streamers in the courtroom. So we'll check that out. No, you have to volunteer to go on the list for court-appointed cases. All right, so they don't pay very well, apparently. At least, I guess if you don't have any other jobs, you just sign up for that, and that works out. Hopefully I can finish my church YouTube site in the next hour. Have a great day, everybody. Hugs all around. If Abby has not done that already, I might have beat her to it today. Yep, I think I was first. So virtual hugs for everybody. Appreciate you all being here. You are the greatest group of addicts in the world, and I appreciate you being here. It would not be the same without each and every one of you. If you need some additional legal content, especially during this lunch, go ahead and click on that channel and watch to your heart's content. Thank you, Matthew, for being here. Thanks for the expertise you provided as usual. We'll be in touch with everybody. Please, when you go home tonight, give a hug to everybody you love, smile at somebody, make their day a little bit better, and stay safe until we see each other on the next live stream. Thanks a lot.